to an accident, right?
I think I got the board right this morning. That's not an accident. That's me having to fix. Should have sent that email. Didn't. Hello, stream.
You can do it. You can do it.
Yes,
You can do it.
Yep, I know. That's why they that's why they hired me. That's why I'm here.
Nope.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate. It is 6 o'clock in the morning. Straight up on the dime. Happy Wednesday to you. More importantly, friends, family, colleagues, coworkers, comrades, it is Major League Baseball opening day eve. I'm not a big it's blank eve day. Oh, it's this eve, it's that eve. Like, all right, yeah, we get it. I'm not a big it's blank eve day guy.
You know that whole eve thing on the day thing means you're unhappy with the day you're in. Why don't you be happy that you're alive and things are going at least okay enough for you to be alive?
No, I think that's a little dramatic. I think it's good to have things to look forward to. And I think saying it's blank eve just means I'm very excited about this thing that's coming up.
If you're always looking forward, then you're never looking at what's going on right now.
While I appreciate the solid effort of the Czar of Idealism doing his thing once again, I have things to look forward to, like I do today, with tomorrow being Major League Baseball's opening day. If you think I haven't been looking forward to this since last World Series, you don't know me.
By the way,
I am.
Real quick, anyone who's tuning in right now, we're going to have a good show in the next 4 hours. Don't look till tomorrow. I mean, stay here for today because, I'm sure today's going to be awesome.
Sure. Yet you can also look forward to tomorrow's show when we do a lot of baseball. I can go ahead and tell you, between today and tomorrow, we're going to have a lot more than 3 segments of baseball.
You are going to break the rule.
No. The rule was an off-season rule, my dudes and dudettes.
Excuse me, Rob Brown, but opening day's tomorrow.
Correct.
So if you do what you're saying you're going to do today, that's breaking the rule.
Well, then screw your rule.
It was you made the rule.
Well, then screw my rule.
Well, the listeners made the rule.
Well, screw the listeners' rule too.
No.
You ain't the boss of me. None of y'all is the boss of me. All right? Not one of yous is the boss of me. So we'll do some baseball today. Speaking of the baseball, coming up at 8 a.m., my dog from 92.9 The Game in the ATL Atlanta, Abe Gordon, host of the Abe TL Show. It's a good name. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's not bad. That's
a good
for sure.
Name. Host of the Abe TL Show, Abe Gordon from Atlanta, Georgia, going to join us here on the show. We will talk a little Braves ball with him coming up this morning on the show. We're looking forward to that. We've obviously got a lot of other stuff that we need to, should get into on the broadcast today. We've got to get into Steve Kerr, who had himself a moment on the microphone last night. We'll talk about his comments because he is not super-duper thrilled about NFL officiating, and I would like to talk about it briefly.
Wait. Steve Kerr is talking about NFL officiating?
Sure is, but he's also heated about the NBA's officiating.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Listen, I'm not going to lie to you. It's
Steve Kerr, man. He's always putting his business into everybody else's business.
Steve.
So he definitely could have talked about NFL
Steve,
officiating.
I think Raj needs your help, bud. I think Raj has got this. I think the Ginger Hammer can handle this without you, Steve Kerr.
Wow. That was something positive said about Roger Goodell. You definitely are having a rough morning here.
Yeah, I retract that immediately. Raj ain't got this. Raj can't do it. Maybe Steve Kerr should talk out about the NFL's officiating. Because in his speech, he said, hey, stop the bull. Which is, yeah, I would agree with that. Can we stop the bull? Please and thank you. I liked it. So we're going to talk about that coming up.
Only if you retire, Steve.
I got to tell you, the way things are going for the Golden State Warriors, he might. I'm not saying that the run is definitely over. I'm not saying that the Dubs are definitely going bye-bye. They did beat the Heat 113-92 last night, a game in which they were a slight dog, and they got it done. Not yet. They're 3 games over 500, all right? They're 3 games over 500. Out in the West, they are currently in the final play-in spot, and they're a full game up on Houston.
So they
and they're 2.5 back of the Lake Show.
So they could lose that spot.
They very much could miss the playoffs entirely. They could also end up in a play-in game, but as the last play-in team, they could also jump the Lakers to be the second to last play-in team. For sure. So we'll talk. You do know that even if that is the case, Steph's not going anywhere, right? You know that this doesn't mean like nobody can force Steph Curry out of the league. You're aware of that.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm fine with him being on a losing team for the rest of his career.
You know what I need? For my own sense of lulls, you know what I need?
A Steph Curry binky?
What I need is just for the chaos, just for the hilarity. I need the Dubs to fold, and I need the Dubs to get done, and I need the Dubs to go, we got to move some pieces, and I need Steph Curry to be a Laker. Can you imagine the hilarity amongst the I hate the new generation fans if Steph and Bron show up on the same team together? Be incredible.
Remember, Golden State tried to get LeBron.
Allegedly. I don't know if I fully believe that, to be honest with you. Like, I know that was the story going on and around at the end of the trade deadline.
Ugh.
Why do you hate Steph Curry so much?
It's the binky.
He doesn't use a binky.
He does use a binky. It's the binky, and because of him, I had to wear a dress. And as you've pointed out, I am Colonel Grudge. Grudges don't go away. They stay there forever and ever, and even after you pass them on from generation to generation.
First off,
I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me if my children don't like Steph Curry either.
First off, I believe the expression is turn the other cheek, is it not?
It absolutely is. You're right, but you don't keep turning it.
Yeah, no, you do. That's the expression.
No, you
turn
don't.
The other cheek.
No, you don't.
Let bygones be bygones. Forgive and forget.
No, you don't keep turning that cheek.
Second off, I don't suspect that Steph showed up at the studio and held you at gunpoint and said, put on a skirt, great one. I'm pretty sure you blew it.
I did. Well, LeBron blew it. But then my boss came up with the punishment. So
again,
yeah,
not Steph Curry.
Yeah, it's his fault. It's his fault.
It's most certainly not. Listen, never once have I lost a bet and like reached out and been like, I actually got the bet right. It was Domantas Sabonis screwing the pooch. Not me.
It was just as much Steph Curry's fault that I had to wear that dress as it was Bill Vinovich's fault that the Saints didn't make
No, it definitely was Bill Vinovich's fault.
So you have a grudge against this person. Why don't you turn the other cheek?
I absolutely do have a grudge against this person. Without a doubt.
If you remove the moniker from me, if you remove Colonel Grudge, I will no longer have grudges. Because if you don't have the title, then you don't do it anymore. Isn't that how that works?
No, it's not. It's not. Even if I stop calling myself the sexy beast, it doesn't stop me from being that.
Well, I guess you are what you are.
We got a lot to get to today on the radio program, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday, at the very end of the radio broadcast, it broke inside the final 30 minutes of the show that the NFL competition committee and owners have indeed approved to change a handful of the rules surrounding the National Football League. Inside of those changes, obviously, comes the change to the kickoff rules. The NFL will now play with a modified version of the XFL's kickoff rules, the modified version, will see the kicker still kick from the 35-yard line. However, the receiving team, the other 10 players, will line up at the 40-yard line on the opposite side of the field, on the receiving team side of the field. The receiving team will see 9 or 10 players lined up on the 35-yard line, 5 yards away from the kicking team. Once the ball is kicked, those players are locked into place. The only players that will be allowed to move will be the kicker and 1 or 2 kick returners. Those kick returners will field the ball inside of what is being called a landing zone. That landing zone extends from the goal line out to the 20-yard line and, of course, sideline to sideline. If the ball is going to land in that landing zone, fair catches are not allowed. Fair catches are not allowed. So once the kickoff receiver, the return man, touches the football, does not to be clean caught, just touches the football. Once that happens, then the other dudes inside of those 2 lines 5 yards apart may begin to move. They may advance, they may retreat, they may modify, they may go through blocking schemes, whatever they want, but they are then allowed to move once the returner has touched the ball. Then it's game on. Should the ball sail over the head of the kick returner and out of the back of the end zone, touchbacks will now be moved out to the 30-yard line. Why is that interesting? Because on a kickoff return, the average return comes out to about the 25-yard line. That's why the touchback got moved to the 25, because the average return is out to the 25. This gives an incentive to the kicking team not to have their kicker blast it through the back of the end zone. Because what they are trying to do is crack down on the number of injuries that take place on returns, but also motivate more returns. So by having the touchbacks moved out to the 30-yard line, you are now creating an incentive for the kicking team to drop the ball in the landing zone where fair catches are not allowed. And obviously, returners would be taking a great risk at letting the ball spike. If the ball bounces and then it backtracks like a perfectly executed Rob Brown lob flop shot, and it rolls backwards into the field of play, it has to be fielded. It has to be fielded, and it has to be played. So at that point, obviously, now the return team has a dramatic disadvantage, because with the amount of time that it would take for the receiver to watch the ball hit, spike, settle, and realize it's not going to be a touchback, he's still got to pick it up and field it. So I'm intrigued. I've seen this rule play out, obviously, in the XFL in years gone by. Not often, because very few of us watched more than a couple of XFL
right, so
games.
If you don't like this, blame Dwayne. It's all Dwayne's fault. And do we get the wedge back? Can you wedge now? I mean,
I do not believe that you can wedge, but what you can, because you've got to have equal guys on both sides of the midfield line. But what can be done is, much like an offensive line firing off the ball, you can absolutely put a blocking scheme into this. You can absolutely try to come up. All right, when the receiver touches the ball, I want you 5 to advance. I want you 5 to splint laterally behind them, and now we've got a wall of 10 over here. If you notice your guy is on the attack, you peel off, next guy feel like there's potential for blocking schemes in this.
Is that a phalanx? What is that with like in 300 when they're all behind?
Yeah, phalanx is
the
kind of triangle formation, which I believe is what the NFL would refer to as a wedge. But we'll see. We'll see how it's legislated. We'll see how it's put into play. We'll see how return teams decide that they want to attack this. I'm very interested in it. I think there is the opportunity here for smart special teams coordinators to come up with some very interesting ways to return the football on a kickoff. And I want to talk more about it. I also would like to get a little bit further into, because we touched it very briefly yesterday, but the banning of the hip drop tackle. Because there are some of you, I'm not going to say who very clearly hate this rule, hate this litigation of the game.
Lonzo is a superstar.
That'd be the one I was talking about for sure. For sure. So we're going to talk about that. We got a lot of NBA news and notes we need to get to. No LeBron James. The Lakers on the road up against the Milwaukee Bucks last night. The Bucks in desperate need of a win. And apparently they decided to just take the day off because without LeBron, AD played 52 minutes. Austin Reeves dropped 29. And the Lake Show got a road dub over the Milwaukee Bucks. What?
Quit acting like that's unusual for Austin Reeves to step up when it's necessary.
It's not. It's not. And you know how I know it's not? Because Robbie B made some cash yesterday on the show because my prop bet of the day, of the night, of the evening on You Better You Bet yesterday on the BetQL network was Austin Reeves over 17.5 points. Why? Because when LeBron doesn't show up, Austin Reeves scores 20 every single time. He has at least 8 or 17 every time LeBron's out. He's averaging 20. He got 29 last night. That average is coming up. I like that. Made me some money last night. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, I got a lot that we need to get to on the radio broadcast. I look forward to sharing our day with you. 844-326-3663. 844-FANFO is the number. I don't know how I blanked on the phone number there. Text us 71307, 71307. Abe Gordon coming up at 8 o'clock to talk Braves ball. Rest of the time, you are all invited to be a part of the show. The Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, dudes and dudettes, good morning. Welcome in. Glad to have you.
Wow, that was sincere. I mean, that was dripping with feelings.
You're like not love something but not hated it. And you're like trying to convince yourself that you like it. I got these. And they're like not bad.
But you bought them, so you're going to finish them.
Well, I'm trying to get off the Monster. And these are, I mean, they are V8s. And they get their caffeine from green tea. So I'm like, all right, let's switch these over.
It smells strong.
And they're like,
when you open that, I could smell it.
Oh, they definitely got a kick to them.
Yeah.
The thing is they're V8, so they are made with veggies. Like that's where they get the water from in these or part of it. And so it's like, it tastes like a cherry energy drink, but it tastes like somebody like spilled a drop of V8 into it.
Trying to figure out when the X-Men 97 episodes drop each week. The first 2 are already on.
I think Thursdays.
And they're okay. I mean, I don't know. I think something's missing, but I don't know what it
Something's
is.
missing.
Yeah. It did pick up in episode 2, so maybe it's just a slow build.
Nobody seems to know. I'm gonna watch this today. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It is The Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob, Lonzo, and you. The last major pitcher on the MLB market is not that anymore. Jordan Montgomery has come to terms with the Arizona Diamondbacks on a one-year, $25 million deal, according to The Athletic, concluding a protracted free agency for the veteran left-hander that extended until 2 days before the season kicked off. The deal reportedly contains a player option for a second year that kicks in if Jordan Montgomery makes at least 10 starts. That second year would be worth another $25 million. John Heyman of the New York Post reported that 10-start mark that would kick the player option into gear. The 31-year-old joins the Diamondbacks fresh off defeating that exact same team in the World Series with the Texas Rangers. If you can beat them, join them if they'll pay you $25 million to do it. Played half a season with the Rangers in 2023 after a midseason trade from the Cardinals. Pitched last year on a one-year, $10 million arbitration deal. Hit free agency for the first time in his career this offseason. In 32 combined starts for the Cards and Rangers last year, Montgomery posted a 3.2 ERA, a 1.19 whip, with 166 strikeouts and 48 walks across 188 and 2/3 inning pitched. For his career, he is a 3.41 ERA, a 1.20 whip in 141 appearances across 7 Major League Baseball seasons. In 6 postseason appearances for the Rangers last year, tallied a 2.9 ERA, a 1.35 whip with 17 Ks and 5 walks in 31 innings pitched. Picked up 2 wins in 3 ALCS appearances against Houston, allowing 2 earned across 14 innings. He lost his only World Series start, allowing 4 earned to the Diamondbacks in Game 2. Diamondbacks add him to a rotation with Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Eduardo Rodriguez, and Brandon Pfaadt. My favorite pitcher in the game. Favorite pitcher with my favorite name in the game. I should say that. Take a little while, obviously, for Montgomery to get on the field as he missed basically all of spring training. I look at all these things, obviously, through a Braves perspective because I'm a selfish jerk. What do you want? The Arizona Diamondbacks might be my sneaky dark horse, which I don't know if it's fair to call a team that is coming off of a World Series appearance a sneaky dark horse of a team. Like, they were in it last year, but I don't think a lot of people expected them to be back. I think a lot of people expected, I know I was one of them, a lot of people expected them to take a step back. Now, they do have now a very solid rotation. Zach Gallen is a Cy Young caliber guy. Merrill Kelly's an outside chance at one. Rodriguez and Pfaadt now backed up by Jordan Montgomery. That's pretty good. Their bullpen is solid, not as good as some other ones across the league, led by Paul Sewell and Miguel Castro. It's good. But to me, I'm really more interested in the Infield, Christian Walker starting at first. Ketel Marte became one of my favorite players last year, playing second. Eugenio Suarez at third and Geraldo Perdomo at short. I like this middle infield. I think that I'm also very interested in the outfield. They added Jacques Peterson to this roster. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. in left, Alec Thomas in center, Corbin Carroll, your rookie of the year, out and right, a guy that is primed to have a spectacular year. Jacques Peterson will be primarily serving as the DH, though he can go out into the outfield if he needs to. I don't know. Let me rephrase that. I have already said, I already have mashed the Braves over 101.5 win total. I absolutely think they are crossing that mark. That's not a question mark to me. They're going to fly past 101.5. I think 105 is on the table. I think 106 is on the table. This might knock that number down a game or two. They're going to see Arizona a couple of times this year, and it's not just that Jordan Montgomery can be a guy when he's on the bump, but it also spreads the rotation deeper into the week, which means if you are Atlanta, you're probably going to see once or twice the Arizona Diamondbacks where you might have been catching a guy deeper in the rotation. Now everybody's getting pushed back one. Now there's a very good chance you are going to catch a Jordan Montgomery, a guy who had a stellar postseason last year. The National League, to me, is not going to be uber competitive in the regular season. In the regular season, I think the Braves are getting the 1 seed again. I think the Braves are going to be the winningest team in baseball this year, or at least they should be. I'll put it this way. That's my expectation. I don't particularly love coming into a year where your expectation is best in the league in the regular season or it was a failure. But I kind of feel that way about Atlanta this year. I kind of feel like there's too much talent on this team to have to accept anything less than being the best team in baseball during the regular season. But I will say there are some concerns. Obviously, the LA Dodgers are a concern. And I don't feel like it's going to feel that way out of the gate because the Dodgers pitching staff is going to have like 3 first-round starter or first guys that are going to be on the DL. And I think that's a problem for you. But once they get those guys back, once the Dodgers have their full complement of pitchers, that team is going to be an all-star staff 1 through 5. So that scares me a little bit. I think the Braves are going to need, I think the Braves are going to need to build up a little buffer zone over the Dodgers early in the year. I don't worry about the Phillies in the regular season. I worry about the Phillies in the postseason. And Braves fans, don't tell me that you don't, because this is year number 3, if it was to happen, that the Phillies bounce you from the postseason when you were a clear-cut favorite. It's happened twice in a row with the NLDS. Philly is a team that is built for the postseason, which I know is a cliche, but I think it's true. I think the Braves answered a little bit this year by building up on that pitching staff, and by getting some guys back. I think the Braves have got to put an added emphasis on keeping guys healthy. One of the reasons that I think the Braves invested in their bullpen, one of the reasons I think the Braves built one of the better bullpens in baseball this year and added Uncle Jesse Chavez back into it, is because they did not want to get themselves into a position, as they had the last 2 years, where you've got to push the crap out of your starters and risk injuries. A, and B, if you go into the postseason and a starter is having a big day. Was it Spencer Strider that got shellacked by the Phillies in game 1 of the NLDS last year? And the Braves didn't have anything to do. They just kind of had to let him kind of float out there in the wind a little bit because they didn't have the depth to be able to lean on that bullpen and get it done. So I think that's why they invested in the bullpen. That's the thing about Philly. Philly is already built that way. So I get concerned about Philadelphia in the postseason. I am now concerned about the Arizona Diamondbacks in the postseason. There are other teams out of the West. I will tell you this. I am concerned as much as I think the Braves are going to be the best team in the regular season. You'd be full of crap if you tell me that you're not concerned about the Dodgers in the postseason. You better be. That team is going to be real good and should be healthy at that point. The Padres. I'm real interested in the San Diego Padres. The Padres have built a good lineup. Even with the loss of Juan Soto, the Padres still have a very good lineup. I don't think they have the pitching to be able to stay stacked. They do have a good rotation. I don't think it's as good as Atlanta's. Arizona's is getting real close with the addition of Jordan Montgomery. Arizona's is getting really close. I really feel this move is an impact move for Arizona, and I feel it will have an impact on the Braves because there is a very good chance that the Braves could catch the Diamondbacks in the NLDS. Very good chance. I think the Braves win the East. They catch the 1 seed. I think the Dodgers win the West. I think they catch the 2 seed. Those two teams get the bye. Then the question mark is, where are your wild cards coming from? I think the Phillies get one out of the East. I think the Diamondbacks get one out of the West. And then the question is it the Padres? Is it the Cubs? Who catches the other ones? Is there a surprise team in the East? I don't know what the Miami Marlins are again this year. That's kind of been their thing. I know they fired Kim Ng, who put that team together really well the last couple of years. And I don't know if they maybe gave away the game by letting her go. That was a dumb decision that I still don't understand. But could the Marlins surprise somebody? Could the Mets surprise somebody? All the pressure's off the Mets. Last year, all the pressure was on the Mets because Steve Ballmer put $1 billion into that baseball team, and then they stank. Now they don't have that pressure on them. Nobody expects anything. Could the Mets jump? I don't know. What I do know is there's a very good chance. I very much hope that the Diamondbacks end up catching the 2 seed so that if they get out of the wild card round, it's not the Braves that have to square off with them in round 1. I honestly might rather catch the Phillies a third time because I hate to say I can't because I can, but I can't see a world in which this team is not prepared and ready for the Phillies a third consecutive season in the NLDS. But we'll find out. We'll find out. Give me the Braves with the 1 seed. Give me the Dodgers with the 2 seed. I actually might give the Diamondbacks the 3 seed with this move. With the staff they have, with the young lineup they have, they are very Atlanta Braves-esque in the way they built this team, with the exception of Jordan Montgomery. The most of the rest of these guys are guys that the Diamondbacks groomed within their system. They are very Atlanta Braves-esque. I'm going to go the Diamondbacks the 3 seed in a wild card round. Phillies the 4 seed in a wild card round. I'm going to go Padres the 5 seed. And I'm actually going to go Cubs with a 6 seed. The Cubs were, a game away from the playoffs last year, from sneaking in as the final seed. 1 game away. And while they lost Jameer Candelario, who was my favorite player for that team last year, I still think they're a very good team. I think they got a Cy Young candidate in Steele in the 1 spot. I think they got a lot of young talent. There's a chance that this is the year we start to see Merrill Carroll. Words are hard. Matt Mervis is the name I'm trying to go with. Good chance we see Matt Mervis break out of the shell a little bit this year if he gets the call up, and I think that he will. I think he needed a year to develop his consistency at the dish. If he didn't do that last year, that's going to be a major disappointment. But I'll take the Cubs in the last spot, getting into the playoffs in the wild card. All right, we'll talk more Braves ball coming up at 8 o'clock this morning with Abe Gordon from 92.9 The Game in the ATL. When we come back here in just a minute from right now, let's address this kickoff thing. The NFL yesterday approving a change in the rules. We will now be playing with a modified version of the XFL's kickoff. I'll run you through what that looks like and give you my thoughts on how I think it impacts the season. When we come back, my name is Rob Brown, the great one Lonzo on the ones and twos. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate. Philadelphia in 6, LOL. I don't talk to me, Tracy. Why you got to come in here and make it personal first thing in the morning? Why would you do that? That's rude, sir. Rude, sir.
He's back.
Clear as a bell.
He could do Boot Barn commercials.
He could. You are correct. I love this commercial from the Fonz.
You mean Mr. Coach Klein?
Mr. Coach Klein?
And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of dry AMD called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, colors appear dull or washed out. For others, hazy or blurred vision make it hard to see details, like fine print on price tags. Many have trouble seeing in the dark, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you think you have GA, don't wait. Treatments are available. Ask a retina specialist about FDA-approved treatments for GA and go to gawon'twait.com.
Save big during MVP's bonus days at Lowe's. Buy one select DeWalt 20-volt max tool, get one DeWalt 20-volt max power stack battery 2-pack free. A $179 value. Valid 3/18 through 3/29.
Did you finish raw?
Supplies last.
Yes.
Pluto TV won't cost you a thing because everything is free. So if you want to watch Braveheart, Mean Girls, or The Price is Right,
Apparently, all the bombs that Rocky was dropping were not censored in the stadium, in the arena.
Yeah.
So now people are posting videos of the uncut promo.
I think he did all the things he promised to do early. So I mean, with the belt and everything, it's 2 weeks before. So how active is he really going to be in that actual match?
The Rob Brown Show carries on. The National Football League has changed their kickoff rules. They will now be going with a modified version of the XFL's kickoff structure. I explained how it works earlier in the show. Basically, all it says is kickoff from the 35 on one side, kicking team lines up on the 40 on the other side. Receiving team lines up on the 35 on the other side. Kick returners stand inside of a landing zone that stretches from the goal line out to the 20. If the ball lands in that landing zone, the kick returner will field it. There are no more fair catches in that case. Okay? Fair catches are a thing of the past. They're dinosaurs. They're fossils. They're gone.
You still fair catching for a punt though?
Yes, punts are unchanged.
Okay, I'm just
Yeah, punts are unchanged. So on kickoffs, good call. I should be more specific. On kickoffs, there are no more fair catches. So the kickoff returner will catch the ball inside the landing zone between the 20 and the goal line. And somebody's already texted the show and said, Rob, how does this decrease touchbacks? Well, the answer is because touchbacks now come out to the 30-yard line. The average kickoff return in the National Football League, and I do not know if this is true of the XFL with this style of the kickoff, but the modified rules the old rules in the NFL, the average kickoff return came out to the 25. That's where the touchback line was. So effectively, it's a gamble for both sides. It's a gamble for both sides. If you're the kickoff team and you kick off a kick that is returnable, you are risking that your special teams might pin them deeper, might pin them inside the 20, inside the 15. If you're the kickoff return team and you decide to return a kick that could be a touchback, you're taking a gamble. You might get brought down inside that 25, and now you've given away free yardage. It's a gamble, is what it is. And so what the NFL has done by moving the touchback to the 25-yard line, to the 30-yard line, has created a situation where the ball carrier really needs to consider, is letting the ball sail over my head worth it or not? And where your kicker has to consider, or your coaching staff has to consider telling your kicker whether to boot it out of the back of the end zone or not. You still can. You can still do that. But that ball's coming out to the 30 now versus giving your special teams, your kickoff coverage unit, the opportunity to bring that guy down at where the average kickoff return comes to, the 25-yard line. So it's basically a touchback is you are sacrificing an average of 5 yards per kick to guarantee no return. And there's going to be a lot of teams that I think moving forward, this is one of the impacts this is going to have. And this is the part I like. I feel like this puts, as much as some people are going to argue to the contrary, I feel like this actually puts a emphasis on special teams, on kickoff and kickoff return unit once again. I think it lost it over the years because 92+% of kickoffs were touchbacks.
Yeah, but that's what they wanted, though. They to cut down on injuries and everything. They had to know that this was going to be a problem with people just going, okay, just kick it in the back of the end zone, because they wanted to cut down on injuries during kickoffs, and they succeeded at that. And then they realized they took away some of the excitement from the game. I am curious how long it will take NFL players to adjust to this without a better shot at the NFL because they already know how to do it.
I think it's very possible. So one of the things I was going to get into was some of the impacts that I think will be held or will be had on the game moving forward. I think there is going to be a re-emphasizing of special teams. We've already seen moves get made because of this. Cordarrelle Patterson from the Falcons is now a Pittsburgh Steeler. That guy is a very good kickoff return man. But over the past couple of years, because there just aren't kickoffs in the National Football League, he's basically been relegated to being a third-string running back for the Falcons. The Steelers saw that move and went, yeah, we're going to go ahead and grab us an excellent kickoff return man. Now you got one. I think you're going to see an emphasis on that. I think you're going to see an emphasis on kickers who are good at controlling precision kickoffs. Because now all of a sudden, being able to hit that coffin corner time where you're going to start seeing teams going to find excellent kickoff return men. Well, why can't I get excellent cover guys? I'll tell you what I think is the catalyst of all of this. I think the catalyst of all this is when a team scored a touchdown over the last couple of years in the National Football League, it becomes a bathroom break, right? You kind of know how this process is going to go. Unless they're in a situation where a 2-point conversion becomes mandatory, which is rare. Unless they're in a situation where a 2-point conversion becomes necessary, you can, after a kickoff or after a touchdown, get up, go outside, walk the dog, come back in, make some nachos, grab a beer, plate the nachos, walk back to the couch, sit back down, recline, and cover yourself back up with your favorite fuzzy blanket and know that you're not going to miss anything. Because after a touchdown, you've got the extra point, which is good 98% of the time. And after you, so you got a touchdown, then the XP, then commercials, then the kickoff, which leads to a touchback, which then leads to 5 more minutes of commercials. Then you come back for the first play from scrimmage. And I've got to assume, I don't have this in front of me. I'm working on an assumption here, and you know what they say about assumptions. I'm working on an assumption, but I would bet that if there was a way to monitor actual eyeballs that were actually looking at the TV, I bet some of the least viewed football is the 10 minutes between touchdown and the very next offensive snap. After you go with the PAT, the commercial break, the kickoff and the touchback, the commercial break, the next round of commercials, and then finally you come back out onto the field. So what this does is now all of the sudden, now I got a reason to watch kickoffs again, which was effectively, as I think Stephen Jones called it, a ceremonial play more than it was a practical one. It was a ceremonial play more than it was a practical one. The kickoffs really didn't mean all that much. Basically, you could have said after a kickoff, the other team just gets the ball at the 25. And it would have changed very little about last year. Very little. They gave us the numbers, and the fraction of kickoffs that were actually returned was insanely low. 90+% of kickoffs resulted in touchbacks. It was pointless. It was a pointless exercise for a while there. And so they got rid of that. And I think this was a way, whether it does or doesn't, we'll find out. But I think this was effectively a way to take a 10-minute chunk of an NFL games window, a 10-minute chunk of an NFL games window, and put some juice back into it, put some excitement back into it, put some energy, some electricity back into it. And I think it's the right call. But I also think it does add an element. I think it adds an element back into the game. I think if you are an NFL coach now, you have to take into consideration how good a kicker is at this, how good a kickoff return man is this. You can't just stick your wide. I mean, you can if he's a great kick returner, but this may change roster spots. I'm not going to just carry a third wide receiver now. I got to have a guy I can trust back there to return kicks. Because think about it. When the kick returner catches this ball now, assuming that most of the kicks, and I think they will, are fielded somewhere around the 5-yard line, my guy's got catch, focus, catch, eyes down the field, and he's going to have what? 7 yards to make a decision. 7 yards to scan sideline to sideline to figure, all right, am I running wide to the right? Am I running wide to the left? Am I running straight up the gut? Am I doing a dive in one direction or the other? He's got 7 yards of NFL blocking to decide where on the field he's going to bring this football back to.
See, this is just like backyard football to me. I don't know if you played any backyard football because your backyard was a golf course. But
Do you
it's
think there's a better football field in America?
yeah,
than a
but I
fairway?
would think it'd be frowned upon by those who run the golf course. But in those kickoffs, no one ever moves until you catch the ball. At least in our neighborhood, it was. So you have plenty of time once you caught the ball to look and see as those guys start to run. It could potentially lead to a lot more kickoff returns for touchdowns. It has the potential to be very exciting. And also the college kids that are coming in, they're getting drafted who might have been really good at kickoffs don't have to adjust what they do now. They can actually come in and return the ball.
Yeah, listen, back in the day, there was always a place for Devin Hester, a guy who was just a kickoff return ace, a guy that became must-watch TV every time toe meets leather. Because even if a majority of the kickoffs were touchbacks, the couple of times they weren't had electricity to them. The couple of times they weren't became wildly important. And I think this kind of brings that possibility back. I think this kind of brings back the possibility of going to find. I'll give you a name that's in the league right now that I think this applies to. Berrios. Berrios at Miami was a frustratingly good kick returner. Punts, kickoffs, whatever. At Miami, he was a wildly frustrating kickoff returner. And then he gets to the league, and there's no kickoffs to return. 9 out of 10 are going out, more than 9 out of 10 are going out of the back of the end zone. There's nothing for him to return. Now, all of the sudden, the return man is back. The return man now has a pivotal role in the game once again, and I can take a guy like Berrios, drop him into the back of the kickoff return unit, and he could theoretically be a game changer back there. I think that's huge.
So this is the opposite of guys losing jobs. This has the potential to get jobs for guys and make them important again in the game.
Yes and no. I mean, there are guys like Braxton Berrios that I think this helps dramatically. I'm sure there are a ton of wide receivers on NFL rosters filling out, wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 spots that have never returned a kick in their life. And now all of a sudden, if I'm an NFL team and I got this dude over here who's a good wide receiver 3, good wide receiver 4, reliable guy, good hands guy, good possession receiver, I can trust him on 3rd and 7 to be there, but he doesn't return kicks. And over here, I got a guy who is the same guy, maybe a slightly less talented wide receiver, but he's a crack kickoff returner. He's getting the roster spot because you need that now.
So football going back to how it used to be as far as special teams go in a way, because that's how it was back in the day. Some of you mentioned Hester. I mean, there were some guys like that were really, really good at returning kicks.
Yep.
They were 3rd or 4th receivers.
Yep. That's 100% accurate.
And some of them, the really good ones, that's all they didn't really get out on the field except for to return kicks.
They might play 5, 6, 7, 9 offensive snaps a game at most. And when they did, it was usually as a decoy / last resort option. Now there's a roster spot for that guy, because if you can average getting me out past the 30 on these kick returns, which theoretically means a 20-yard kick return, that's not unreasonable. If you can get me out to the 30 on average and sometimes past it, I got a spot for you now. So I think these rule changes could have a massive impact, and I don't think they're that bad, to be honest. We'll talk about the hip drop tackles banning a little bit more in depth later in the show.
No, let's not do that.
No, we're going to. Abe Gordon of 92.9 The Game in Atlanta coming up at 8 o'clock. Alonzo with the Sports Flash coming up right now.
The South Carolina Gamecocks baseball team knocked off Presbyterian in a game full of fireworks. 19-14, South Carolina tallied 15 hits, including 6 home runs in the game, while the Blue Hose got 10 hits and 33 at-bats. Right-hander Eddie Cooper pitched 2.2 with 3 hits and 3 earned runs before a platoon of 8 more pitchers finish the game. The Gamecocks have the day off before starting a 3-game series at Alabama tomorrow. The last big name pitcher is off the market as Arizona Diamondbacks agreed to a 1-year, $25 million deal with former Ranger Jordan Montgomery. The deal includes a second-year player option in Montgomery. If Montgomery makes 10 starts last year, Montgomery had a career best 3.2 ERA across 188 innings and a solid postseason run. Hey, make sure you check out Wire to Wire this evening from 3 to 7 right here on The Fan. I don't know, Steven, if the first one is any indication, I'm bumbling and stumbling. Too many words trying to squeeze in.
This message is sponsored by the South Carolina Department of Social Services. Always the lowest price, guaranteed, period. Jeff Lynch Appliance and TV Center, your best choice for 72 years. Just keeps getting better. Ceilings queen tight top or hybrid firm. Your choice only $488. Up to $1,000 cash back on Bosch kitchen packages. $100 install rebate on Bosch's best dishwashers. The Upstate's top-rated brands of recliners starting at only $287. Always the lowest price, guaranteed, period. Jeff Lynch Appliance and TV Center. Hey, this is Diesel, and this is Cole with Wire to Wire, and we'll be live today from 3 to 7 at Eagles Markets at 410 Pelzer Highway in Easy. Stop by and say hi. We will also be giving away a $25 Eagles gift card. When people have a craving to explore new and traditional Asian cuisines, they head to P.F. Chang's, where scratch-made dishes come from the 2,000-year-old tradition of wok cooking. P.F. Chang's wanted to explore new possibilities for their website. They turned to AmericanEagle.com. AmericanEagle.com re-architected P.F. Chang's website, integrating multiple third-party systems to create a unified digital
Steven,
experience. The results?
why do you have to ruin something? My experiment. I had an experiment going, and I should know that someone on the stream is going to ruin it for me. It was a scientific experiment. I had theory. I believe my theory has been made fact.
What?
I won't tell you what. I will tell you what the theory was later, off the air. I guess thank you for being observant, Stephen, but you know.
For casual and hardcore sports fans, live sports betting updates for all of the night's games as they happen. Latest scores, sides, totals, props, parlays, futures, and much more with real-time, relevant sports wagertainment tonight at 7. BetMGM tonight, exclusively on Sunday. And on the Odyssey app. Your morning world of sports. It's the Rob Brown Show.
They're about to watch their counterparts, the Power 2, get like oodles and oodles and oodles of money, whereas they would just get just the one oodle of money.
You don't want just one oodle.
You don't want one oodle when everybody else is getting multiple oodles.
Yeah, one oodle is not enough.
Yeah, you gotta have multiple oodles.
It's news. The Rob Brown Show. Now morning 6 to 10 on The Fan.
The Fan Upstate. Upstate.
QC the first break.
You're on official Rob Brown lockdown. Unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show. Only on
Fan Upstate.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Real good as we jump into our numero dos to the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. Robin Lonzo with you. Hope you had a good Tuesday, Wednesday underway, one day until Major League Baseball's opening day. Tomorrow, I love you tomorrow. You're only a day away, 1:10. We go first pitch with the Mets and the Brew Crew up at Citibank, and then it's on. However, for me, I am prepared to be disappointed because there is a 93% chance of rain in Atlanta tomorrow, which means I have been waiting, anticipating, and the Braves might not play. Actually, probably won't play on opening
Wow,
day.
38 special. Look at you.
It's a good one, man.
Yeah.
Hold on, Sloopy.
That's a totally different song.
I know it's a different song. It's the same band, though.
No, 38 special did not do.
Oh, no, they didn't. What am I thinking? Oh, God, now I sound like an idiot. What's the song?
Hold on loosely.
That's
Not
the one.
hold on loosely and hold on Sloopy.
Very different songs.
Yes.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm having a day. All right? I'm having a day. What do you want? What do you want? It is 7:01 in the morning, ladies and gentlemen. You are less than an hour away from clocking into work, getting your day going, responding to all those emails, looking at the calendar, the to-do list, realizing that you don't want to work today. It's opening day eve.
By the way, it's hang on Sloopy, not hold on Sloopy, so don't come at me.
Hold on, Sloopy. Don't let go. Da-na-na-na. That's how it goes, right?
I think you may be right.
Pretty sure I nailed that. Once you get to work, once you get to the point that it's time to take that first break of the day, once you get to the point where it's time to walk down that long, dark hallway and go meet your coworkers, you're going to want to talk sports. And if you're going to want to talk sports, you're going to need this. You can do it. It's the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you go start talking sports at work this AM. Let us begin with a flurry of stories out of the NFL in item number 1. We have gone at length into the conversation about the NFL's approval of a change in the kickoff model. We now know that we will be going with the modified XFL version of the kickoff. If you missed us talking about that, go to thefanupstate.com, go to the podcast section at the top middle of the page, drop it down to the Rob Brown Show. And once you get there, you can re-listen to hour number 1 on demand at any point. Stay with us now. Just go back to it later, and you can listen to that hour of the show and hear all about what the kickoff looks like, the setup, the way it's going to be run, and the impact that Lonzo and I think it's going to have on the games in the National Football League. But there were other things that happened around the league yesterday. Cordarrelle Patterson, no longer an Atlanta Falcon. He is now a Pittsburgh Steeler, which makes sense hours after the NFL adopted that new kickoff rule. Patterson, who played under now Steelers offensive coordinator Arthur Smith with the Falcons, has 9 career kick return touchdowns in the past 10 years. He is the NFL's all-time leader in that category. He has 3 times as many kick return touchdowns as any other player in that time span. He is considered one of the kick return specialists across the NFL. And now that there is going to be a new version of the kickoff, which will, we all think, inspire more kickoff returns, Patterson is going to get paid to do exactly that. He spent last year playing a reduced role with the Falcons due to added personnel. And now he's going to get a chance to break out one more time again. This is a huge opportunity for him, but he is 30 years old, so he's going to have to make a run at it. Roger Goodell spoke out on Tom Brady's efforts to become a part owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. No new news on that effort other than Roger Goodell said they are going through the process just as they would go through the process for anybody else. If there is anybody that I can see getting super pumped about having Tommy touchdowns back in the league as an owner, it's obviously the great one, Lonzo. Looking forward to that. We found out yesterday that the NFL is moving the trade deadline back 1 week. The new trade deadline will now take place at the conclusion of week 9. In addition, teams will also be allowed to use a practice squad player as an emergency number 3 quarterback on game days. They did require in the past your emergency quarterback to be a part of the 53-man game day roster. That is no longer the case. You may now carry an extra emergency quarterback on the roster that will not count towards the 53. The NFL will now allow replay officials to move into the area of penalty enforcement for the first time. Now, they will not be allowed to initiate a formal review on intentional grounding, roughing the passer, or hits out of bounds, nor can they suggest a flag be thrown. But replay personnel will be authorized to suggest a real-time reversal of a penalty on, quote, specific objective aspects of a play when clear and obvious video evidence is present.
You mean like when Patrick Mahomes threw a ball and it got called for intentional grounding and there was a receiver in the frame
Basically.
that you could see, and the announcer said that looked like a receiver to me.
Basically.
Okay, all right. So
previously, replay officials advised officials on calls such as catch, no catch, possession, down by contact, and others. They may now provide the impetus for a reversal. In the past, again, they could provide advice to the on-field officials, but the officials on field were more than able to say, no, we good, dog, appreciate it, but no thanks. We're going to leave it as called. Now, the replay officials will, again, they cannot initiate the replay and they cannot suggest a flag be thrown, but they can suggest a real-time reversal, meaning at any point, these guys can pop into the headset of the head mic or head official and go, hey, you missed a pass interference right there, which would, send the Saints to the Super Bowl. But who's keeping track of that? You know what I mean?
Where they probably would have lost. So, I mean,
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Who would they have played?
The New England Patriots and Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes, because if there was anybody who was going to lay down to Brady, it was Drew Brees, for sure. Unlike the Rams, who went in there and gave them all they had.
Hey, would you let it go?
No, never. Now, I will take it to my grave. You can etch on my tombstone Bill Vinovich. Rob Brown, 1985 to question mark, bleep Bill Vinovich.
I'll have to get you a bigger stone so it can be visible from the road.
Put it on a damn neon sign. It's interesting you bring up intentional grounding, Lonzo, because according to ESPN, quote, intentional grounding was a play that especially caught the committee's attention after officials threw 62 flags for it last season, the most since the year 2000. But the replay assist expansion was also spurred by instances when, for example, a defender was called for roughing the passer because of a hit to the head when replays showed the contact was clearly below it. It is a step towards creating the NFL's own version of the sky judge, but one that still gives the on-field referee the final word. Competition Committee Chairman Rich McKay said, quote, grounding was a hard call. This wasn't our best call because there's so many elements to it and it becomes a crew penalty. I mean, literally, you'll always see the referee have to get in there. He's going to bring a line judge, going to bring a down judge. They're going to talk about it. In this case, we just like the person in the ear able to say, yes, he was in the pocket or he wasn't. And then if he needs to help anything else, he helps him only when we said he could in the objectives finding, end quote.
Sky Judge doesn't make you think of anything, period.
No.
I mean, like a Skynet. I don't,
Of course, according to Rich McKay, one of the chief proponents for Sky Judge Lonzo was Kansas City head coach Andy Reid. Andy's a Skynet guy, Lonzo. Deal with it.
I am not going to comment on Andy Reid because I will not be disrespectful.
I mean, you kind of just
Actually,
did.
I should be disrespectful because then they would win, and then so would I.
And finally, wrapping up item number 1, we did get some scheduling notes out of the meeting yesterday. NFL games on Christmas Day will continue this year, despite the fact that Christmas Day is on a Wednesday this year. 2 matchups on the calendar for a Wednesday Christmas Day. Matchups for the games, which will include teams that play on the previous Saturday to account for the recovery window. Yeah, you get Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then get ready to play again, boys. Will be determined. NFL Executive Vice President of Media Distribution, Hans Schroeder, said, quote, when we saw the viewership from this past year, really, our fans spoke. We certainly saw and believe that they are very much enjoying and wanting NFL football on Christmas.
So what 2 teams for sure are going to start playing on Christmas every year? Kansas City will be one. Will it be Dallas? No, because they have Thanksgiving. They won't give them another holiday. Oh, they got their butts whipped on Christmas last year.
Yeah.
But still, I mean,
you didn't play on Christmas last year. The Chiefs didn't.
I thought they did.
Christmas
I thought
Day
that's when they
last year.
lost to the Raiders, but I could be wrong.
Christmas Day, oh, no, you're right. You did. I was looking at it and I missed them. Baltimore Ravens, San Francisco 49ers, Giants, Eagles, and Raiders, Chiefs.
There we go.
But Christmas Day was a Monday last year.
I know, but thanks to leap year, it jumps to Wednesday.
Yep.
The thing is, on Thanksgiving, we know we're going to see Detroit. We know we're going to see Dallas.
Yep.
So who becomes the Christmas Day teams? It might be Kansas City and San Francisco.
It might. I mean,
because you're not going to give it to Dallas and Detroit because they already,
think so.
yeah.
I think more along the lines of you're not going to make anybody a Christmas game.
They will.
Because I'll tell you.
Yeah, they will.
I think you put a team. I don't know how big of an impact it is, but
look at LeBron. Whatever team LeBron's on, they play on Christmas
Day. But that's
Day.
the NBA.
Right.
The NBA runs like 12 games that day.
Right.
The NFL's running 2. And I think if you tell an NFL team full of players, especially guys that are vets of a long time, hey, you do not get to be home with your family for Christmas for the next, as long as you're on this team, you're going to see. So I would see the NFLPA push back against them, like dedicating Christmas to a team. I think players would hate that. Thanksgiving, I don't think as many people care. I think Christmas would be one that you're going to see a lot of players go, I am not giving up every Christmas with my family to play football.
We'll see. And I hope you're right, but hopefully 5 years from now, we'll still be together. I'll be 60 and we'll need help getting in the room probably. We'll see if it ends up being Kansas City and San Francisco every year.
You're not wrong. All right, let's go to item number 2. I don't necessarily know that this is like a massively compelling story in a not baseball market, but we did get some more Shohei Ohtani information yesterday. I asked the other day, and by the other day, I mean yesterday, the day after Shohei Ohtani spoke to the media for the first time, I asked a couple of questions. One of the questions that I had was, all right, Shohei's camp is claiming that they have brought their information to a law enforcement agency and requested an investigation into the alleged theft committed by Shohei Ohtani's former interpreter. One of the questions that I had was, cool, which agency? Who'd you go to? Now, we know the FBI is involved because it is the FBI with the help of the IRS that is investigating the bookie that all of this was tied to and connected back to. The FBI and the IRS have already confirmed that they are looking into this bookie, and it is their investigation into this bookie that triggered the Shohei Ohtani story in the first place. Shohei's camp yesterday was in the news because they got asked point blank, which law enforcement agency did you go to? Which law enforcement agency did you request a formal investigation from? And they have declined to answer that question. They have declined to go on the record and tell us who it is that they spoke with about the investigation that they allegedly asked for. Now, I am not a detective. In fact, I'm quite dumb. I'm too dumb for that job. But I do watch Law and Order SVU like a lot. And one of the things that I have found over the years is that if you are unwilling to provide information, it kind of makes you stand out as a suspect. There it is. There it is. CSI Los Angeles. CSI the Dodgers. If you are unwilling to provide information, now let's be very clear. Let's be very clear. There are some people who are victims who do not want to provide information because it brings them a sense of shame or they feel a sense of fear or something like that. If someone alleges that something happened to them, but they do not wish to go into the details or share the information, it does by no means mean that that thing did not happen to them if they are a victim. And there is the possibility that Shohei Ohtani is the victim here. There is absolutely the possibility. I think anybody who is declaring, oh, Shohei definitely did something wrong here, I do not think you have the information available to you in order to make that declaration. What I will say is I find it very interesting because if you're willing to say we have reached out and kicked off an investigation, if you are willing to say we have reached out and kicked off the investigation with the law enforcement agency, I don't think it's that far of a stride to then say, you know, which agency you reached out to. I don't think it's that far of a leap from, yeah, we talked to a cop to, yeah, we talked to these cops. But that's just me. I'm just going to say this thing keeps getting weirder. The story keeps getting weirder. The story keeps getting deeper. And I don't know how to deal with it. I don't. We just got to let it keep playing out. In the news, Texter said, I know what it takes for me to prepare and complete my taxes. There's no possible way with Ohtani's finances, lawyers, and accountants. He loses millions and millions over years and doesn't know about it. I'm calling BS. Listen, I don't have a problem with you calling BS. The only thing I've said it to Diesel and Cole. I said it to Diesel and Cole Tuesday on their show. You cannot bring the hammer down on Shohei Ohtani right now. You cannot bring the hammer down on Shohei Ohtani right now until you have the proof, until you have the evidence that show that he was involved. Not that his bank account was involved, not that an employee of his was involved, but that he was involved. I think that's where you've got to be very careful. Although the MLB is not the justice system, let's be clear. The MLB is not the justice system. It is only in the court of law where you are presumed innocent until proven guilty. This is a private business. They can run their business the way they wish. And if they decide that just allowing this to happen around him is too bad of a look on them, they can bring the hammer down. I will tell you, I would not agree with that at all. I would think that's a poor decision.
They brought the hammer down on someone who was very famous at the time, and Pete Rose. Why wouldn't they do the same thing?
Because Pete Rose got proven to have gambled on his team. They proved it. That's why. Pete Rose got busted doing the thing. Ohtani just has a lot that makes it look like he did the thing.
So if it gets proven, he needs to be banned for life.
I think you have to.
Because precedent has already been set.
Yeah, I absolutely think.
Or do they suddenly do an about face, put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame, and let Shohei walk with just a suspension?
I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can make that happen. I don't think you can play that game, because at that point, you are already a professional sports organization that is constantly busted up on for allowing people to do the wrong thing in the search for profit. Ask any Oakland Athletics fans, soon to be not Oakland Athletics fans.
So you're saying that it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility that they would do what I just said?
I think gambling on baseball is one of the few places where I would absolutely see MLB take a hard line stance, even against the most popular baseball player on planet Earth, because it's not about, at that point, the integrity of the commissioner, the offices, the shield. At that point, it is about the integrity of the game that is being played on the field. And if there is one thing that MLB has to protect, it is they have to protect, whether it's already shaded or not, they have to protect themselves from fans turning on a game and going, I can't believe the results of this game, because if players are gambling, players are manipulating. I think gambling is the one thing, only thing. I think gambling, here, I'm going to make it sound awful, but I stand by it. I think baseball will take gambling on baseball infinitely more serious than they take domestic violence, than they take DUIs, than they take pretty much anything short of sexual assault.
Here's the thing, though. You have pointed out, and of course you're correct on it, that money has a lot to do with everything. The amount of money that's in betting shows and the loosening of standards everywhere in sports right now when it comes to betting, I just don't think that it's out of the realm of possibility that he gets a suspension, but it's not for life.
If you do that, when Pete Rose is already dropping Instagram clips going, well, I should have just had it. I wish I'd have had an interpreter. I should have just hired an interpreter.
Which, if you were him, that's the thing you should say.
Hell yeah. My man's saying, my dude had a fall guy. I wish I'd have just had a fall guy. I'd be in the Hall of Fame right now. I think if you walk that back because of an active player, and we all know the only reason they're doing that is because of the value, the dollar signs next to Shohei Ohtani's name, I think baseball takes a black eye. I don't use this phrase. I don't like this phrase because every sport has taken black eyes over and over. But I think that would be one that I don't even think Major League Baseball can come back from. I don't think putting Pete Rose out for 40 years now. How long's he been out of the game?
I think it was like 70s, wasn't it?
Yeah. So
or it might have been early
80s.
80s. Yeah.
If you keep that dude from celebrating his Hall of Fame career for 40 years, and then you decide to change that up on a whim for a guy who's not even out of the uniform yet, I think it makes Rob Manfred and Major League Baseball look like a bunch of jerks. And on top of that, like I said, if you allow that guy back on the field, what you are effectively saying is we're not good with a situation where players can manipulate the outcome of results in order to win bets. We're not good with that, but like, we don't hate you for it. I think you would have to blast him into history.
1989 when Pete Rose was banned.
Okay, so about 40 years.
Yeah.
So that's, no, it's not. It's 35 years. Numbers are hard. I'm bad at them. What do you want? Item number 3, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but the University of Kentucky announced yesterday that John Calipari will be returning to the Kentucky Wildcats this upcoming season after getting bounced in round 1 by a dog for the second time in 3 years, and only 1 second-round appearance in the last 4 years to show for it. A lot of Kentucky fans getting ready to move on from a legacy coach of the game, but Kentucky announced yesterday they're not willing to pay the $33+ million exit fee they would have to pay to get rid of John Calipari. So Jay Cal going to be sticking around for 1 more year in Lexington. We got to run to a break. We're back after this. It's Rob, it's Lonzo, it's you, it's the Rob Brown Show. It's the Fan Upstate.
Let's see.
All right, guys, quick live reading. We'll be right back. Y'all stay right there for me.
know what it is.
No, I had no idea. First time I heard it on the radio.
I did know because we played with it in there, and
The
I
first time
showed
I
it
heard
to you.
that, I was like, it's bad. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. Rob and Lonzo with you. Got a lot more to get to on the radio broadcast today. The gambling stuff. We've obviously had a lot to talk about with Shohei Ohtani this week. We've had a lot to talk about with Jonte Porter of the Toronto Rappers. That'd be a dope name. The Atlanta should
Yeah, but
change the
it
Hawks
would
to the Rappers.
It would just have Drake in it.
Apparently Drake's on the outs with a bunch of rappers right now.
I don't.
A bunch of drama in the rap game right now.
Yeah, I'm not aware of all the beefs, but there's some beefs out there.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm very interested in where this goes. Obviously,
I can call Will up. I bet he knows all the rapper beefs.
we should check with him. I need to know why everybody mad at Drake.
I'll do that. I'll get on that.
I'm so out of that part of it. I'll listen to it. I'm not getting into the
So
beefs.
you're out of your rap phase.
No, I'm absolutely not out of my rap phase. I am just going to say that if you grew up with the rap I grew up with in the 90s and early 2000s, you don't love what's out today, with a couple of rare exceptions. And also, I can't stand Lil Wayne because he's a turncoat. But that's just me. That's just me. So, as somebody...
You mean like Ric Flair turncoat, or just
no, not even like a cool heel, like a bad heel.
No, I meant because Ric Flair jumps from team to team to team. That's his favorite team.
I think that's a Rick shtick at this point. It's just he's just if you invite him, he's a fan of your team.
Okay, all
I
right.
think that's just his
So,
shtick.
so is Lil Wayne like that?
No, he turned his back on his hometown to go be a Packers fan. I don't care if he picked it up as a kid. That's bogus. What's his dad do? His dad's just as bad. What are you doing? I assume Big Wayne. What are you doing, Big Wayne? You got Lil Wayne all confused.
It can't be Biggie Wayne because that was even though
That's a different guy.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm interested in this gambling thing as more and more states are legalizing sports wagering. I suspect it is only a couple of years away where it's legalized basically everywhere because the influx of cash coming into the states that have decided to allow legal wagering is through the roof. And there is nothing that will change a government official's mind quite as quickly as stacking a couple of zeros on the back end of it. That's just a fact of American politics. So,
I'm pretty sure that's politics everywhere, no matter what country it is.
I mean, I'd like to think not, but I'm naive and ignorant and dumb. So what do I know?
There's a kingdom somewhere.
Pretty sure they're on the ups in Luxembourg.
They have a president in Luxembourg. So, but you're probably right.
You're going to see this happen more and more. And the reality is the leagues have one problem. The leagues have the problem that the temptation is there. Every sports gambling show that I do on the BetQL network, every time I talk about it on this show, 99% of the times, I make sure that I point out, hey, please gamble responsibly. Only bet what you can afford to lose. Look at it as part of your expendable income. If you ever get to a point where you are relying on gambling to pay the bills, stop gambling. That's real bad. And I understand that people have issues with addiction. I look at gambling just like I do with booze. If you can't handle it, if it creates a problem for you, don't do it. But on the flip side, don't expect everybody else not to do a thing that they want to do and enjoy doing just because you can't or don't want to. That's not how the world works. Certainly not how America works. Jim, there you go. All right. Just making sure Jim's awake. So
There's a good shot he's awake and working on stuff.
Oh.
He went to bed at like 6:30 last night, but still he's awake this morning.
I want to talk about Jim and Keenan Allen later because he took a shot at Keenan Allen that I found hilarious, and I want to get to that. So the leagues are going to have a problem because the temptation to gamble is always going to be there. And the problem that you bump into is one of the things, I've given my rules on gambling for years. Rule number 1, don't gamble on your own team. Rule number 2, have a consistent unit size that you gamble. Your bets are $10 or $50 or $100 or whatever, and don't break that. Stick with that. That way you're never tempted to go hammer down on a play you think is brilliant and it ends up costing you your bankroll or whatever the case might be. The point here is, the third rule is actually look at the games you want to play. Don't just go look at a line and go, oh, Golden State getting 2.5 points. That's an easy play. They're just better than that team. Because what ends up happening is you just throw money at that and then you tune into that game and they go, by the way, Steph Curry's not playing tonight. What? Now you got a problem. The temptation for athletes is going to be there too, because if one of the first rules of gambling is know the game that you're participating in, who's going to know the game that you're participating in better than the guys that are participating in it? You're always going to have this problem. And I think this is one of the reasons, going back to what we were talking about in the last segment, I think this is one of the primary reasons that if they can indeed connect Shohei Ohtani to a bet on baseball, he's got to be gone for life, because you have got to lay down the law that I don't care if you are the greatest baseball player of all time, as I think Shohei Ohtani is. I don't care if you are the most valuable baseball player of all time, as I think Shohei Ohtani is. You are not gambling $1 on a baseball game and staying in the game. Because what I think needs to happen, and this needs to happen across every league, I do not care if players wager. They are human beings and private citizens as well. But they cannot wager on their own team. Can't do it. And I think that if you create a world where athletes know, yeah, I could bet on this game, a game that, LeBron and I were texting last night, and he told me that he's a game time decision, even though that's not out in the public yet. So I'm going to throw $50K at this game on the Lakers not to cover the spread because Bron's got a bum ankle and they're not going to reveal that information to the public till tomorrow. And at that point, the Lakers are going to go from, -3.5 to +1.5. So I'm going to grab that line now while I can, or what, +3.5 to -1.5 or whatever number. It doesn't matter. You get what I'm saying. I think if there is in the back of their mind the knowledge that, yeah, I might make $25,000 betting on LeBron James because he told me he's got a busted wheel and they're not going to tell the public until tomorrow morning. But the counter to that is, if that bet ever makes it public, I'm going to lose a lot more than $25,000.
All right, I was curious about athletes in Japan and if they're allowed to bet. And from the couple of things that I just read, it is prohibited. So I thought, maybe possibly it's okay in Japan. So he thought it was okay here, but it's not.
For the record,
you're not allowed to bet, period, on sports.
For the record, it is legal to bet for MLB players right now, just not on baseball. You bet on anything else. In fact, one of the stories, one of the reports I have heard so far is that the bets that were connected to the interpreter and therefore to Shohei Ohtani directly or indirectly were apparently on international soccer. It was international football that these guys were gambling on. And so the thought process there was, well, they weren't gambling on baseball. And again, if it's connected to Shohei and he was gambling, but on international soccer, I don't care. I don't have an issue with that.
I don't think the league will care either.
No.
So but it would have to be baseball related, or they wouldn't be making such a big deal about it.
No, what the big deal is going to be made about is the illegal gambling. If you're going to gamble, you have to go through a book. You have to go through legal. So you got to go through FanDuel or BetMGM or Caesars or DraftKings or whatever. You can go through a organized, licensed book. And the reason you can go through those books is because those books keep that history. They keep that track. They keep that ledger. So at if any given point, Major League Baseball wants to know what, I don't know, Mookie Betts, get it? Mookie Betts. If they want to know what Mookie Betts is gambling on, Mookie can report his bets on DraftKings and go, yeah, I put this much down on DraftKings, and then MLB can call up DraftKings and ask them to share the details of Mookie Betts' gambling history, and they can have that information. I don't care if baseball players gamble on international soccer or the NFL or the NBA. They just can't gamble on Major League Baseball. But the other thing they can't do is they can't go through illegal books. They can't go through bookies who are not licensed to run a book.
Is Japan's soccer team any good?
They're okay.
Was he betting on Japan's soccer
Dude,
team?
I will tell you right now, as an international football fan, I don't only bet on American team. You bet on whoever the hell you want. I bet all the time on international football. That's not Team USA.
Shane on the stream wants to know, how do you lose that much money on soccer?
You be real bad at it. The answer is, Shane,
It's called ties.
who is it?
I think ties probably ruins everything. I'm just guessing.
Not necessarily, because you can bet on a tie too. You can bet on a game resulting in a
Okay.
draw.
All right.
I'm assuming the same way that Bruno Mars is 50 mil in debt to, who is it, Caesars or MGM?
I didn't know about this.
Bruno Mars is like 50K or 50 mil in the hole right now.
You should
and-
have brought them flowers.
He might have to jump on a grenade for him. So I don't care if the baseball players or any other athletes gamble. I don't. They're Americans. They have the right to gamble too. You just can't gamble on your own sport. It is not the gambling that Shohei is in trouble for. It's going through the illegal channels, if it's even Shohei. I'm more concerned about Jonte Porter over in the NBA. Toronto Raptors, 2 games in which apparently Jonte Porter bet his own unders. In one of those games, he played about 4 minutes, long enough to get registered as participating in the game on a sports book, and then he checked out and did not check back in with what the Raptors called an illness. And then a couple of games later, he played and hit all his overs. Then a couple of weeks after that, he apparently placed some more bets on his unders. He left that game with an aggravated eye injury, or I think it was the eye injury first, then an illness later. But again, checked in, played long enough to get on the books, and then checked back out and hit all the unders. And DraftKings said, Jonte Porter won a lot of money for the public because there was huge betting interest in the unders, and then him not playing made sure all the unders hit. That's where I think you got to get into. I think you got to get in deep. If the NBA goes was putting in money on himself and then checking himself out of games, Jonte Porter has to be out of the league permanently, first off. And I think there's one more step. And I don't know, because I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a big dummy with a microphone. But I got to think at some point the NBA would be able to sue Jonte Porter for some type of fraud, for manipulation of the game, for some type of fraud. I don't know if it would be fraud. I don't know if it would be considered theft. I don't know how they would do it. But I got to think, if you get a guy like Jonte Porter down the line that gets caught doing this crap, not only does he need to be out of the league permanently and for good, but you got to take everything you can away from the guy that he earned playing basketball. And I think that's going to have to be the next step. All right, we'll see how it plays. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. We come back and wrap up hour number 2 after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
I just sent you that Manning Brothers quarter zip thing on X.
On X, bro.
Up to the minute upstate traffic. Southbound 85, there's a crash at Highway 29. Traffic is backed up past 129. You'll want to use caution. There's some slow-going Highway 20 in Greenville. Road Road from east and west around Henrydale. It looks like there might be some road there. Highway 29, Wade Hampton between Spartanburg and Greenville is running good.
What about Calvin Ridley? Yeah, listen, if the NFL banned Calvin Ridley for life, I'd get it. I would not hate it. As much as Calvin Ridley was proven, as far as I know, betting on games when he was not active. He was out. But I can't accept in 2020, 3, 2, whatever year that was, but certainly not in 2024. This is one of those times where ignorance is not a defense. You as a Major League Baseball, I know at least in baseball for sure, because Cody Decker told me. But when you become a Major League Baseball player, it is drilled into you that gambling on baseball is a top-tier no-no. Top-tier no-no. I work on the assumption that the same is true with the NFL. The same is true with the NBA. The same is true with MLS. I am sure that it is absolutely drilled into your skull the day you sign a contract to play in those leagues. Gambling on the league in which you play is an absolute no-no. Also, is no-no the most accepted child's word by adults? Is there a word that we use?
It works for pets too.
See, I don't say no to my dog. I say no. But like with a kid, I'd be like, Lou, that's a no, right? Like no is the most toddler word we use towards adults.
I guess you might be right.
The University of South Carolina has an elite opportunity in front of them right now. Found out yesterday that both of their head coaches, the men's and women's side, both Don Staley on the gals side and Lamont Paris on the fellas side, both of them have been nominated for, and I'm going to be real honest with you, I think both of them are going to win the Naismith Coach of the Year award. I think South Carolina is sitting on a season where both of their basketball coaches are going to be named the National Coach of the Year in all of college basketball. And frankly, I think it's deserved. Don Staley got told this is a rebuilding year. It's a reloading year. It's a year where you got a bunch of young gals. You're going to have to figure out getting them into the rotation and what your roster looks like and what your team style of play is with all the new girls. Lamont Paris, I don't know if you've heard this before. I think this phrase has entered the upper echelon of most parroted things Remember during the last season of Tim Tebow, where every time he hooked up on a pass with Riley Cooper, they'd be like, Tim Tebow and Riley Cooper are roommates. It's like, yeah, no, we've heard that a few billion times at this point. We know. You don't have to say it every time Riley Cooper catches a pass. I'm kind of at that point with.
Is this like Travis Kelce is dating Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
Okay.
We got it. We know. It's been in the news, fellas. I feel that way about South Carolina was picked to finish last in the Southeastern Conference. Yeah, we know. Now, I will say there are some spots where it's been pretty funny, like when Lamont Paris joined the SEC network crew from their desk during the SEC tournament in Nashville. And he loved to point out to the guys, including a friend of mine, Peter Burns, on the SEC net, and going, hey, Pete, weren't you one of the guys that voted us to finish last in the SEC this year? Peter was like, yeah, that's my bad. That's pretty funny. But it doesn't need to be brought up every time we say Lamont Paris's name. However, it is, and this is certifiable, true that South Carolina was picked to finish last in the Southeastern Conference. Instead, they finished in a, 5-way tie for second place in a year where there were probably 3 games that the ball falls a different way one time, and South Carolina is tied for first and a double bye in the conference. They did get bounced in the first round of the tournament, but we saw what Oregon was. Although Oregon lost in the second round, they lost in the second round after taking a very good team to double OT. And by the way, we're missing 2 of their 3 top scorers in that game. Cousinard and Dante were the only ones that could go. So I still think there are people going, oh, you lost to a team that lost in the second round. Yeah. If you think Oregon getting bounced in the second round was an indication that Oregon's not a good basketball team, you don't know ball. Whatever. Put that to the side for right now. What I can say is Lamont Paris is absolutely the men's national coach of the year. And that presents South Carolina with a real opportunity now. Because I don't think there is anything bad and or wrong with presenting yourself as a basketball school. Now, I know it's the South, and I know everybody wants to be a football school. Of course you do. Football is the passion. College football is the passion across the South.
I don't think it matters about South. Everybody wants to be a football school because football schools make more money.
That is correct. But if you're in the SEC right now, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, if you're in the Big Ten, you're good too.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but we're not talking about the Big Ten.
I'm
talking about South Carolina.
You made a regional for some reason. I don't get that.
I think that, and I've not lived in Ohio, but the multiple places I have lived across the South.
You know what? We're going to find out. We are going to find out because our very good friend, Mark Ryan, is going to be covering, as he told us yesterday, Michigan football games.
He is. In fact,
so we're going to be able to know a year from now if it means just as much in the Big Ten as it does down here in the SEC.
He's already told me, Lonzo, that he will be joining the show in the fall of college football with us.
Cannot wait for Mark Ryan's Big House reports. I cannot wait for that.
I can't wait to frequently refer to him on the air as noted Big Ten guy Mark Ryan. It's going to be great. Can't wait.
Can we call him Michigan Mark?
I like that. Now for your Big Ten perspective, it's noted Big Ten guy Michigan Mark. Love it. So I think South Carolina has an opportunity here. I think you have an opportunity right now. I think the foundation has now been laid for you to establish yourself as a basketball school, but I think you got to lean into it. You're already leaned into it. South Carolina basketball on the women's side has had the highest attendance mark of any program in America for 7 consecutive years now. I think the fans have embraced it. Listen, fans will embrace anything that you are winning at. Okay. Your school could be the best tiddlywink school in the game if you present them with an opportunity to talk jack to their rivals. They're going to take it. I will say this: you're in a tough spot because while you have established yourself with not 1 but 2 national coaches of the year this year, I think when it's all said and done, you did get bounced in round 1, whereas Clemson is 1 win away from being in the Elite 8.
Wow.
That's not great.
That's the first mention of Clemson. You went all that time talking Gamecocks without mentioning Clemson. I was so proud up until that moment.
I mean, I'm an equal opportunity offender.
Okay. All right.
So I think you have an opportunity here, but I'm going to tell you right now, you as fans need to buy in, and you better hope your athletic department is going to buy in, because you have 1 year to utilize the foundation that's been built. You have 1 year to utilize what you have put together under Lamont Paris here. You have got to get the portal right. You have got to get recruiting right. And you have got to make the same run through the Southeastern Conference next year that you made this year, because it ebbs and it flows. It waxes and it wanes. And if you lose out on the momentum of having 2 coaches of the year at once, that opportunity doesn't roll around very often. You know, it does roll around every hour, a sports flash.
Speaking of South Carolina, the Gamecocks baseball team knocked off Presbyterian in a game full of fireworks, 19-14. South Carolina tallied 15 hits, including 6 home runs in the game, while the Blue Hose got 10 hits and 33 at-bats. The last big-name pitcher is off the market as the Arizona Diamondbacks agreed to a 1-year, $25 million deal with former Ranger Jordan Montgomery. The deal includes a second-year player option if Montgomery makes 10 starts. Last year, Montgomery had a career-best 3.2 ERA across 188 innings and a solid postseason run, because that's what you want to have. Hey, tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, and a whole lot of fun. And it's all Wire to Wire right here on the Fan Upstate. I have a theory on that, Steven. I think those pictures came with the apartment. That's what I think it was. We'll have to ask him when he gets back in here.
There's something remarkable about the University of South Carolina. It's in the labs, where researchers are discovering ways to make communities healthier and stronger. It's in the nation's best first-year student experience and top-rate programs in nursing and health sciences. It's where more South Carolina students have access to higher education than ever before. Because when you stand for something bigger than yourself, you can create something that benefits us all. Behold, the remarkable we.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here.
All right, let me get Abe's number for you. All right, guys, we're going to step away while I get Abe Gordon lined up. We will be right back.
Bigger game days and bolder fight night.
Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah! Hour number 3 of the 4-hour sports talk extravaganza that is the Rob Brown Show starts now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rob Brown, the great Lonzo on the other side of the metaphorical glass this AM. The phone lines will be open in about, 17 minutes or so, but for the next 15 to 16, they are currently occupied by our next guest. He is a coworker, a colleague, a comrade, a friend on and off the air. He is a producer and a host of the Abe TL Show.
You're not about to sing "Thank You for Being a Friend," are you? Because you
No,
just basically quoted that whole thing.
I didn't. Now, he and I have been down the road and back again. He is indeed a friend and a confidant. He is Abe Gordon from 92.9 The Game in Atlanta, Georgia, joining us on the Rob Brown Show. What's up, Abe Gordon?
Not too much, man. Good morning to all your listeners. Appreciate you having me on as always, man.
Always glad to have you on to talk some Atlanta sports. Let's start, big fella, with the Atlanta Braves because opening day is tomorrow. And what a start to the season as it looks like it's going to get rained out. Awesome. Super cool. Been waiting for this for like 4 months, and we're going to catch a rain out on day one. What are we doing, Abe?
Well, I mean, look, the MLB schedule makers obviously knew that was coming, planned an off day. So if we have to bump it to Friday, so be it. But, yeah, I mean, what happened to It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? I thought that was the thing.
I hate Philadelphia. Why would you say that city? Why would you say that in a year where we got to do everything we can not to get bumped for the third time in 3 postseasons, Abe?
Yeah, it's that's the interesting aspect of this, to be honest, for me. It is the opener. And obviously the MLB tries to schedule, something enticing, juicy for the fans. But Atlanta and Philly in the past 2 years is quite a different beast, isn't it? And so the opportunity, and not that you can like wash demons away in like a 3-game series in March, but there is a little side of that. There's still a little Orlando Arcia, Bryce Harper fire that's going on there as well. So I think it is a nice little poetic opportunity for the Braves. But if they have to wait a day, then so be it.
We're talking with Abe Gordon from 92.9 The Game in the ATL, talking a little Braves ball. All right, the fight I have gotten into on Twitter multiple times, Abe Gordon, is with the team that most everybody seems to think, and I don't necessarily think they're wrong, is the Braves' biggest competition in the National League, and that is the LA Dodgers. I have made the statement, and I am willing to back it up, that 1 through 9, I think Alex Anthopoulos wins GM of the century because I think he has built, in a farm-grown way for the most part, I think he's built the best offensive lineup in Major League Baseball. Dodgers fans are going to say it's the Dodgers. I've heard some people wanting to throw the Rangers into that competition. Not a bad pick. But to me, 1 through 9, the expectations for the Braves because of that lineup should be World Series or failure.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And obviously part of the World Series expectations also comes with the fact that you have one of the better rotations in Major League Baseball. I mean, I know you wanted to ask about offense, but I'll take Spencer Strider and Max Fried over any other 1-2 punch in all of baseball. You add in Charlie Morton and Chris Sale, I'll take the Braves front 4 over anyone in baseball. Now, 5th spot's a different story, but getting back to the plate, it's a situation where if Jared Kelenic can deliver on the potential he supposedly has, and I know there's a lot of concerns in regards to what he did in spring training. There's a lot of people shouting and pointing, look, they had to bring Adam Duvall back. That's how bad this guy was. Not sure that's the entirety of the truth either. But to me, the thing about the Dodgers is because their top end is as good as the Braves' top end, right? Like if you're and the question is who's the Braves' top end? Obviously Acuna, let's say Riley and Olsen from a pure pot standpoint. I mean, Freeman, Betts, and Ohtani, and remember Ohtani, while he's not pitching this year, is going to be hitting. at least until Major League Baseball suspends them for illegal gambling. They can probably run with them. But I'm telling you, when you get to 5, 6, 7, 8 in the lineup, I do think there's more of a fall off with the Dodgers than there is with the Atlanta Braves. And even more so in that 9-hole, if you can slide Kelenic into actually getting some potential. I also think there's a situation brewing that I hope I'm right about, is that I think you're going to see a totally different beast in your starting center fielder at the plate this year. I think Michael Harris is due for a big time, and I know we've won Rookie of the Year. I think he's due for a type of breakout season that thrusts him into discussion of one of the top 10 players in all of baseball in terms of all-around talent. And so if that happens, Acuna obviously, but you're talking about a guy in Harris that potentially could go 30-50 if he takes advantage of his tools. So I think the lineup has gotten even stronger. You look for Austin Riley to stay hot the way he was at the end of last year, as opposed to some of the ups and downs of the mid portion of the season. I think it's the best lineup in baseball. I agree.
This is a team, and I said this on my Saturday baseball show a couple of weeks ago, Abe Gordon. This is a team that won the World Series 3 years ago. The last 2 years, they have been NL frontrunners, although they have been disappointingly bounced in the NLDS both years. I think of those 4 teams, including the World Series team, I think this team is the strongest of any of the 4 of them. And while postseason baseball is wild, we love the drama, just like we all didn't see the Dodgers getting bumped by the Diamondbacks in 4 last year. To me, this is the strongest team the Braves have fielded during this little run that they're on. And as I look around at the Diamondbacks, I look around at the Phillies, with the exception of the Dodgers in the National League, I don't see any other teams that got better, at least to the level that the Braves got better this offseason.
Yeah, I do think teams got better, like at a more higher level than the Braves got. Like the Braves aren't going to add that many wins, right? They were already above 100 last year. So yeah, what do they get? 3 games better, 2 games better, or, whatever. They're going to be teams that improve more than the Braves, but the gap was so wide to begin with. I mean, you look at a team last night, Arizona, that goes out and signs Jordan Montgomery, another front end arm for them. Corbin Carroll, reigning Rookie of the Year. He could have a breakout season, to get into that top tier as well. So I think there are teams that you look at, but ultimately, if you get to October looking the way you're looking now, what I mean by that in specifics is if your rotation is healthy, because there are going to be questions about Charlie Morton. There's going to be questions about Chris Sale. If they get to October healthy and the arms are fresh and feeling good, I just don't think if the Braves are at their best, anyone is as good as them. Now, we've also seen in the past 2 years, because the Braves are very clearly better than the Phillies the past 2 years, it's about when you get hot. And if the Braves don't get hot at the right time, and look, I'll say it, like I'm not scared to say it. When the Braves won the World Series, they were not the best team in baseball. They didn't become that until they won the World Series and moving forward the next year. Remember, they didn't have Ronald Acuna Jr. that year. And so the Braves got hot at the right time. In the last 2 years, they did not, partially because, and some may argue otherwise, but they were sitting for a whole week as the wild card round was being played. And they tried a couple of different things this past year, and playing inter-squad games and simulations and stuff like that, and it didn't help. You still got bounced by the Phillies. They got to figure that out. If they're going to go on to 100, 400, 500, 6 wins, they're going to go on to win the NL East, they're going to go on to be the number 1 seed in the National League, they need to figure out how to bridge the gap from the end of the regular season into the playoffs. They've got to find a way to stay hot, because they have cooled off the past 2 years, and ultimately it has cost them.
Abe Gordon from 92.9 The Game in Atlanta here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Let's talk about the starting pitching a little bit. This is a 1 through 5 that I think has the opportunity to be very good. I think there's going to be over the course of the year, Abe, some drama with that 5 spot. I think you'll see some guys come up and down. To me, the primary thing is, can you keep 1 through 3 healthy? Can you keep Spencer Strider, Max Fried, and Chris Sale healthy. I think Sale showed in spring training that he can still be the guy, or at least a good percentage of the guy that he was before the injury. I think a lot of the success in the regular season towards, fingers crossed, earning that 1 seed in the first round bye for Atlanta is really going to come down to, can you send out Spencer and Fried and Sale? Can you send those guys out? Can you keep them to 5-6 innings consistently because you've built a good pen you trust behind them, and make sure they're not missing long stretches of time?
Yeah, and to be honest, I want to add Morton to that, because I think he's more towards the front end of being part of that top 3 than he is to the back end of the question marks you have at the 5. So it's really that front 4, in my opinion. And I agree with you. I mean, you've had injury history with Max Fried that's got some question marks. We know about Chris Sale and the concerns there. Charlie Morton hasn't been pitching in the postseason at the end of the Braves year each of the last 2 seasons due to various circumstances. And so, you do have to keep these guys healthy. And that's the big question, because I don't think the talent, I don't think people are questioning whether or not they can shove in the middle portion of this rotation. It's really just going to be, are they available when the team needs them down the stretch? I will say this. The Gwinnett Stripers, the AAA affiliate for the Atlanta Braves, might have the most talented rotation in the history of minor league baseball. I mean, you've got Bryce Elder, who was an all-star last year. You got A.J. Smith-Shawver, who was an up-and-coming prospect and is going to pitch in the majors this year in some capacity, I'm sure of it. And Hurston Waldrop, who was the number 1 draft pick of the Atlanta Braves out of the Florida Gators, who's been absolutely shoving. He pitched at every level of minor league baseball a year ago. He's going to start the year at AAA level this year. We saw him actually show out a little bit in camp with a scoreless outing, a scoreless debut. And so, if guys do go down, I do think you're better served this year to bring in guys that have pitched at the major league level and give you some reasons for excitement than you were in previous years. I know in that's also with the potential of Oscar Inoa maybe playing a role, and we know what he was before he decided to get a little dumb and break his hand. And quite frankly, that's the potential with Ian Anderson maybe even coming back towards the back third of the season. And so it is a situation where if guys go down, I do at least feel you can bridge that gap. And that's the great part about this offense, right? You can go 5 innings, you can allow 6 runs, and half the time you're still going to win that darn game. And that's the key to this whole thing is, it's that stupid term, complementary. But the Braves do have the ability to play complementary baseball. If the rotation lets you down, the bullpen can bridge innings scoreless. If both let you down, the offense could get into a shootout, and vice versa. So it is a complete and full roster. There's no doubt about it.
So I've said a couple of times on a couple of different shows I've been on talking about this same thing, Abe, that the only question mark in the lineup to me is Jarred Kelenic coming over from Seattle. And he was sold, the Braves fans were sold that he's a guy that has untapped potential and maybe a bit of a slow developer. That to me is really the only weak spot in the lineup. 1 through 9, if I was going to ask you, but bar you from selecting Ronald Acuna Jr. at the end of the year, where do you think in this lineup Jarred Kelenic fits in? Kind of around what potential do you think? Is he an Ozzie Albies? Is he a Money Mike? Could he threaten Ronnie down the line? Like, based on what you've seen through spring, what do you think Kelenic turns into?
Yeah, it's tough because so many guys are so far and beyond what I think is possible for Kelenic, right? Like, I don't think he's Matt Olson, Ronald Acuna, Austin Riley. Those guys are all 40-plus bomb potential. All of them could be in the top 5 of the MVP discussion when all is said and done this year, potentially. I think Albies and Arcia is probably in line with where he is. You hope he hits a little bit better than, and Sean Murphy's a tough one because Sean Murphy started out real hot. Everything was going wrong, but boy, his last 150 at bats, maybe 200 at bats was an absolute nightmare. So I'm interested to see what Sean Murphy becomes this year and kind of where he settles as he starts another season for the Braves, because they need to hit him to be in the 20 to 30 range of home runs to really maximize this offense. And so we'll see if we can get that out of Sean Murphy. But Yeah, I think if we play off of what we saw from last year's offense, Sean Murphy is probably at the base of it with Arcia. And I would like to see Kelnick slide above Arcia, maybe in line with Ozzie Albies.
We're talking with Abe Gordon from 92.9 The Game in Atlanta, talking a little Braves baseball as opening day is tomorrow. Fingers crossed the Bravos will get a game in with the Phillies before the rain takes over the area. We will see. All right. I am going to hand you a $100 bill, Abe Gordon. You have to place it on one of two bets. Are you placing it on the bet that that Ronald Acuna Jr. goes back-to-back NL MVP, or are you placing it on the bet that Matt Olson leads the NL and Major League Baseball in home runs again?
Wow, that's not the question I thought you were going to ask me. I thought when you were handing me $100, it was either going to be Acuna for MVP or Strider for Cy Young. If that were the options, I would have taken Strider for Cy Young. You actually ask a tougher question for me to answer because you're talking about two guys having the repeat performances. I think I'm going to take Olson in this discussion, and nothing against Ronald Acuna. I think people are going to hold 40-70 against him. And what if he goes 42-50 this year? Like, that's a significant drop down from what he did in his MVP season. Is he still able to win the award, not putting up the milestone he did last season? And I think that's the question. He's got to find some catchy number people can latch on to. Maybe it's 50-50. And if he goes 50-50, he's going to win the award. He also might outpace Matt Olson. But I think in this lineup, seeing what we've seen, I'm going to go Matt Olson. I think voters for the MVP award are going to hold 40-70 against Ronald Acuna, as ridiculous as that sounds. I also think that Mookie Betts is really in line for a monster season again. And moving to shortstop for him, I think is probably going to play up his value in terms of voters. And I'm interested to see how that plays out. So I'll take Matt Olson in that one.
We are talking with Abe Gordon from 92.9 The Game in Atlanta. All right. I have said, is this too much? We got into a conversation earlier this week because Sean McDermott, the head coach of the Buffalo Bills, made a comment, and I'm paraphrasing Abe, but he said something to the tune of, just because we have not won a Super Bowl doesn't mean that we are failures. And my response was, it kind of does. Like, you built a really good team, and you've got Josh Allen back there at QB, who to me should be competing for Super Bowls, and you're holding them back. I actually do think that. I am going to go on the record now and say anything shy, despite the chaos that the MLB playoffs can bring, anything shy of a World Series title is a disappointment for the Atlanta Braves this year. Is that fair?
Yeah, it is, but it also has to work within the constructs of how unreliable the MLB playoffs are. Like, we were having a discussion, obviously UConn in the NCAA tournament has an opportunity to repeat. And we were having a discussion on my show about what the toughest sport to repeat is. And you're talking about a sport in Major League Baseball that has not had repeat champions since 2000, when the Yankees had a three-peat, 98, 99, and 2000. And so I just think the way the format of the playoffs, it's not, you play a whole season to determine who the best team is, and then you play multiple rounds of a playoff to determine who the hottest team is. And I just think there's so much of that it kind of does take away a little bit from the expectations. So I say you get into the playoffs, if you can get into the NLCS, it's kind of like a crapshoot from there, and anything can happen. But yeah, I mean, I'd be lying if I said that we don't all feel the Braves are the best team in Major League Baseball, and that we are expecting it to end with a World Series. Anything short of that certainly is a disappointment. I wouldn't go as far to say that that's a failed season. And I know you asked me about disappointment, but you did use the word failure here or there in the question. I wouldn't say it's a failed season, but certainly from the fan expectations, it would be a massive disappointment, barring everything, stays above the board in terms of injuries and stuff like that.
Abe Gordon from 92.9 The Game in Atlanta, Georgia. He is my go-to dude to talk Braves and Hawks and Falcons, but I don't want to talk about them. So we're talking Atlanta Braves. He hosts the Abe TL show, also hosts pregame and postgame for Atlanta United. He is a host and producer for 92.9 The Game, and we we'll be having him back on very frequently, hopefully, as the Braves rack up. By the way, 101.5 on the win total. I took the over. That's a gimme, right? That's a layup.
If they want it, I feel like if they want it, it can be. If they pull back early, it always is going to depend on how the race is shaping up. How hard do they have to push? But if they want it, yeah, it should be over.
Abe Gordon talks Braves baseball here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. My dude, great to have you. Thanks for coming by, brother. We'll do it again in a couple of weeks and get caught up.
Rob, always a pleasure. Thanks for having me. I hope your intel on that weather report is wrong because I want to get this thing started. We got 162 of these bad boys. Let's get the first one in on Thursday.
I'm sitting here thinking, Abe Gordon, Lonzo and I are off the air at 10. This game doesn't go first pitch till what? Afternoon? Do I opening day road trip over to the ATL, Abe? I think I kind of have to, right?
I mean, it's 3:00. You step on the gas a little bit. You can make here in quite an easy bit of time. I know they're going to have. I mean, again, if the game's played, you go down to the Battery, and I know you spent some time there, Rob. They're going to have a show out there for you. So the weather's going to be beautiful here on Thursday. So
somebody's going to have to talk me out of it.
So, by the way, noted weather guy John on the stream says it's going to be sunny and 67 in Atlanta tomorrow. And if John says it, I mean,
That's not what I hope he's right. I hope I am flat out wrong because the plan this whole time has been to leave, to do the work, to get out of here, to head down to the favorite watering hole and to pick out the best TV because I know all you people with regular jobs can't come interrupt my baseball watching. That's been the plan the whole time. And now, Abe, it's going to be everything I have not to get in the rig and take it on down to the Battery, pal.
Yeah, well, don't forget for John who sent it in, the game is in Philly, not Atlanta. So Atlanta's going to have great weather, but Philly might be a little bit troubled. But hopefully they get this thing in because, yeah, I'm off there at 2 p.m. on Thursday. So we want to do something very similar, kind of settle in at a watering hole and start the season off 1-0.
Dude, tell me the Battery's not going to be lit tomorrow.
Oh, bro, I'm not going there. It's going to be a nightmare. Kidding me?
Abe's like, yeah, you should go. It's going to be a party. I'm not. Absolutely not. I respect it.
It's on your way down, something like that. I don't know. It's not out of your way. I don't know.
Yeah, let's go with that. Abe Gordon, we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks, big fella. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it.
You got it, my man. That is Abe Gordon from 92.9 The Game in the ATL, host of the Abe TL show. Listen, I know the game is in Philly. I'm saying I want to go to the Battery for opening day. The Battery on opening day it should be a national holiday, if we're being honest. Like when I'm president, I'm getting rid of a lot of holidays, and I'm adding Super Bowl Monday and opening day to the list of national holidays.
Stop waiting.
What the hell you guys say politely? I want to take a tinkle. I went to take a tinkle. It came back. That's polite, right? Tinkles. I went to take a tinkle. It went back.
Back after this on the Rob Brown Show.
That is a great
on the Fan Upstate. The spotty areas of drizzle early today, otherwise cloudy, high 71. Tonight, slight chance for rain, then cloudy, low 49. Thursday, sunny, high 66, 70 Friday with sunshine for the weekend. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on the Fan Upstate. Currently, it's 50.
Pace, and we know the deal.
All right, guys, I'm going to step away for 30 seconds. I'll be right back. Well,
So Steven and I have a theory that when you got the apartment, that those pictures came with the apartment.
which pictures?
Earlier on, he mentioned he wants to know what happened to the pictures
No, they're in my
in
closet.
your apartment because they just suddenly disappeared.
No, they're in my
My theory was they came with the apartment and you just didn't change it.
They're in my closet in the bro cave.
Exclusive interviews with players, coaches, and team executives, streaming live and always available on demand.
So you just didn't want to decorate the living room with that stuff.
Well, I moved in.
But
with
yeah,
her.
like
She already had the living
no.
room.
I mean, when you were single and there.
Single
So-
in there.
So what the Bro Cave looks like now would have been a deterrent to remaining. I mean,
No, you guys never saw the TV wall in the bro cave.
I did.
TV wall had stuff on it. The
You
wall
moved,
behind me on
you moved the
screen-
camera and you showed.
What I should have done, what I should have done is I should have flipped the walls around.
That's where the guitars were, right? Yeah.
Over in the
So-
corner, I had my guitars hanging in the corner, and then I had my sports stuff around that. What I should have done is broadcast it from that corner. But what I've had to do is that I had to go and get like a coffee table and a chair and like done a whole setup there, which it was not a big apartment. So it's like I'd have had to dedicate 30% of my living room to a studio that I used. I mean, I was using it 3 hours a day for like a long ass time.
He's not old enough. Well, yeah, you got to be 35, right? Yeah,
Yeah, I'm old
so
enough.
you're old enough. Yeah.
So we got a bunch of cool stuff coming up that I'm very excited about. I'll be on next Monday. I'm off next Tuesday. I've already told you what I'm doing next week. Going to the Hornets Nets game on Monday night in Charlotte. I will be in a VIP suite for that game. And then the next day in the AM, we'll be taking a tour of the Spire Motorsports Garage in Charlotte in the morning. And then in the afternoon, spending some time. The drummer from my band moved to Charlotte, so I'll be up there. We're gonna do a little tour de force of a couple of breweries in Charlotte. Looking forward to that. But then there's next weekend, and I know it's a ways off, but I need help. I need help in planning that weekend, great one, because that weekend's gonna be ridiculously busy.
You're asking me to help you plan that weekend.
I am. I need
because
to
you
help me
know that
prioritize
I am
this.
overbooked for that weekend also. So
Next weekend is a dream for sports fans, specifically locally, but really nationally. That Thursday, we start the Masters. Even if you're not a golf guy, the Masters are the Masters. Watch it. It's incredible golf on the most beautiful golf course on planet Earth. Then you've got Saturday, the Masters in the day. You've got Final Four games at night. You've got the Greenville Triumph playing at home, and it's Star Wars night. That's the best. And WrestleMania. Then on Sunday, you've got the Masters Championship round, followed by day 2 of WrestleMania. There's I don't say this often, there's too much stuff.
by the way, there's also NXT. Their PLE is on that Saturday afternoon before WrestleMania, and it's South Carolina Comic-Con weekend. So, I mean, if you haven't got tickets, get your tickets. South Carolina Comic-Con. It's going to be amazing 2 days.
And Comic-Con.
Saturday and Sunday. So, I mean, so there's that.
For the sports / nerds guys like me and Zoe, I don't know how to handle that weekend. I've got the show on Saturday. That's going to be the majority of my Masters watching on Saturday. Then we got a Triumph game. Then we got Comic-Con. Then we got WrestleMania. Then we got the Triumph game is Star Wars night. So it's not just a regular game. It's one of the bigger games they will host all year. What a weekend that's going to be.
Yeah, but it's also it ushers in spring for me. All that stuff happening. That's a true sign that spring is finally here, whether it says it on the calendar or not.
Man,
Because I don't remember when's the first day of spring.
I don't know. I don't particularly care because it's not going to be spring for 2 weeks after that.
Well, no, it'll be summer here. So
What a weekend that's going to be, man.
also,
by the way,
there's
all
an
of
eclipse.
All that's going
Did
on.
you remember the eclipse? I think is around that
And
time.
the
too.
eclipse is on the 8th. That's what is that? I think that's I got to tell you, I was talking about tomorrow potentially driving down to the Battery to go watch opening day out on the Battery at Atlanta outside Truist because it's going to be lit for sure. I haven't ruled out the fiance hates this plan because it's dumb. I acknowledge, but it's also the last eclipse to like the early 2040s. I haven't ruled out that next Monday after the show's over, or taking the day off, because I think I'd have to take the day off, but driving to the Path of Totality, which I think is like 5 hours from here, 5.5 hours from here, you can get into the Path of Totality. I haven't ruled out getting in the car and hauling over to go see this thing in person.
By the way, the first day of spring apparently was last week. So we are spring.
Cool. Makes sense. What a sports weekend next weekend. What a sports.
I think it's just a big weekend period.
I mean, it is
Going all the way through Monday. It's just a big weekend all the way around. It's going to be very busy. Going to need a week to recover from the whole thing.
This is wild, man. It's gonna be a great weekend. WrestleMania after a real good Monday Night Raw this week. I can't imagine SmackDown's going to be any different. You've got a phenomenal WrestleMania card, in my opinion.
By the way, if you're into wrestling, come to South Carolina Comic-Con because Danhausen's going to be there, along with Brody King and somebody else. I have to look it up.
Will he curse me? I'm not coming if he won't curse me.
Well, I hope so.
So we'll see how it goes. That's going to be a pretty damn spectacular weekend. Triumph Star Wars night, the Masters, WrestleMania, the Final Four going on that night too. Here's the thing. I know no matter where I'm going to be, I'm also going to be watching something on the phone at the same time. Like there's too much. Final Four, Masters, WrestleMania, Greenville Triumph. I think the Driver's starting up that. I think that's the first homestand for the Greenville Drive as well. Like what a bonkers weekend that's.
By the way, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. That's who I forgot. Going to be at South Carolina Comic-Con.
Legend, Hall of Famer, all timer for sure. AEW Hall of Famer Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. All right, here's what I'd like to do. I would like to take a break. I would like to come back, and I would like to play you a bit of audio from Dave Kanellis. And I'd like to play you a bit of audio from Dave Kanellis because he said something. I really should say the way he said something yesterday when asked a question about Bryce Young that I went, ooh, I like this. I'll play that audio for you when we come back. My name is Rob Brown. Lonzo's on the ones and twos. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's the Fan Upstate.
I'm already in trouble. Might as well play a little extended Oregon just to see if I can make it even worse because, tough love is still love.
Tough love is still love.
They changed the screen over here, and it's now a black background, and it keeps throwing me off because it wasn't before, but I don't remember what it was. But every time, just out of the corner of my eye, I keep thinking there's something wrong over there, and I know it's that screen.
Good catch, Joey.
Wow.
Good catch,
Wow.
Joey. That's why we keep you around, bro.
Wow.
Northbound 185 is stop and go from the toll road entrance back to 385. Highway 26 in both directions is slow between Highway 11 and 292. And the road work around Pelham Road this morning has you on about a 15-minute delay. From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Joe Brooks on the Fan upstate.
Meet Cheryl. Hey, she's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card. It's gotta be somewhere. Maybe she lost it at salsa night. These skirts should have pockets. Or maybe she lost it at Pilates. But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile
And yes, it would seem to those who watch and listen that I am always in trouble because I'm probably always in trouble.
$25 a line for 4 lines on the unlimited plan at an amazing price.
I'm varying degrees of trouble, though. I mean, yeah.
Should you switch to Telefy Verizon? Definitely. I mean, find a store or switch Suavemente at TotalByVerizon.com. Monthly rate when you activate without a pay plus taxes and fees discount against the month after your
When we get in trouble, it's a totally different thing. It's not the yelling, screaming thing. It's just being stared at to the point where you feel guilty of everything you've ever done in your entire life, and you just want to confess everything. And then make stuff up just to see if it's good enough so you can get up and leave.
You know how it's the worst when your parents don't yell at you? You know how
No,
sometimes you're like,
no, I don't know
All
about
right,
that.
for the
but
rest
I'm
of
a-
us.
Yeah.
You know how it's not
You rolling your eyes, but you have no idea. I'm glad you don't.
for most of us, it's a situation where your dad says or your mom says, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. And that somehow works where you're like, I'd rather you yell at me.
Yeah.
It's that, but the corporate version.
I've actually said in that office, I wish you would yell at me.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot easier for me to deal with.
Yeah.
I can handle the yelling. Like you go in, you're already disappointed in yourself, but then it's just so the in-between words are so quiet. That space in between.
In between words.
Yeah.
It's the not words.
Yes.
That do it.
It's the atmosphere. It's heavy.
That was close. So yesterday,
I
saved it.
Yeah,
I saved
is that considered a
No.
word? I could if I heard it through my headphones. All right, you may not count it. I count
I'm
it.
not counting it.
I'm counting it.
I'm not counting it.
I'm counting that as now it's 2.
So yesterday, NFL Network's Tom Pelissero had a sit-down interview with the new head coach of the Carolina Panthers, Dave Canellis. And he was talking with Dave Canellis a little bit about Bryce Young. And he asked him a question about, all right, you're coming in, you got to build this guy up. You basically got to give him a fresh start. How do you make that work? How do you operate this in a way where you think you can get the best out of BY? And I'm going to play you the answer that Dave Canellis gave, because there are 2 things that I love about this answer. And I'll tell you what they are. Here's Dave Canellis when asked about his methodology behind rebuilding BY.
Than the approach that we took with Russell, with Geno, with Baker, is we are going to become the concepts where Bryce looks most confident. And how do you tell that? Look at the firmness of the back foot on the delivery, whether it's a plant throw or one hitch. There's just this really solid look and an aggression just exploding off that back foot. You see it all across the league. You see those anticipatory throws. Well, these are concepts that these guys love. We'll start to hone in on some of those, but we're going to have to throw a lot at them to kind of discover those. But you talked about the footwork part, right? That's every year, every quarterback. We go right back to the basics. We start with the stance under center. We balance the feet, get your left foot into the instep of the right. Okay, my chest is up, my eyes are up so I can see every part of the field. We take it from that basic starting point, regardless of how many years the quarterback's been in there, but we just take that. Then we start to build the drop. Then we build the footwork, and then specifically what you're saying, we look at the concept and we say, how can we make this footwork intelligent to this concept? Because if you watch, Most quarterback footwork, they take about 3 steps from the gun. But there's all kinds of 3-step drops from the gun. And so that's the part where you start to grow. What kind of 3-step drop? How many hitches? Is it one? Is it plant? And just building his library with that type of inventory within the drops. And then also, how much can we eliminate pre-snap so that he can play with an anticipation, and say, okay, I can eliminate.
Oh, of course it would.
First progression because of this coverage or that. Now I can start on 2 to get to 3, because you really don't have a lot of time on a down and down out to go 1, 2, 3 consistently. Sometimes you got to go, one's not there, start with 2 to 3, and then kind of on your way.
I love that so much. I love it so much. I love that so much as a dude who knows ball.
He sound like, did you, we've talked about the movie The Natural many times. When they bring in that psychiatrist guy, losing is not, it's the same tone, same voice. He lost me after about 3 sentences, which is what he intended to do, is bore everybody to death when everyone knows he's still too short.
You don't get game day credentials this year. You don't get to go to games. You're banned. You're banned. No haters allowed.
First of all, I could apply for them just as easy as you can.
No, I'm going to get you blocked.
And you know what?
You don't deserve.
You know
to
what?
watch
I have tenure. So,
I don't care.
So I'm good. I'm
just
good.
going to email them audio of this show.
And I will email them audio of you being a Saints fan.
That's fine. I'm going to cover the team impartially. You can't.
Are you?
You're just a hater.
No, if I go cover the team, it's because I love the team. And you're right. I can't be impartial. The Panthers are my favorite NFC team, and they've been horrible. And nothing he said gave me any confidence. There was no emotion into it. It was just flat out straight line coaches speak. There was no excitement in there. There was it sounded like he practiced.
Of them. I physically recoil from that take.
Ooh.
Yeah. I had a physical reaction to that take.
Did it affect your bowels?
No, I'm good.
I was asking for your grandma.
Giving you some boring ass answer of, well, we're going to analyze every part of the game and we're going to find out the things he does well, and we're going to do the things he does
think
poorly,
in
and we're gonna try
statistics.
to eliminate these things. Yes, that's how the world works.
No, it's not. You think in statistics,
You
so
think
that
in
was
ideals.
exciting for you, which is really how the world
No,
works.
it's not.
Without ideas, you can't have
I didn't
stats.
say ideas. I said ideals.
You
He's literally telling you in this answer, we're going to find out via working on who he is as a quarterback, as a technician, what concepts we should install that play to his strengths. And I like that because I don't think you've gotten that with any of the coaches of the last couple of years. I think with Frank Reich, I think with, what's the other guy's name? Matt Rule. I forgot his name. I did a good job bleaching him from my memory.
You mean Steve Wilkes?
I think with Steve Wilkes, I'm fine to put that in there, though he was a defensive guy, so it's not the same thing.
Still the head coach, though. So
Not the same thing.
Well, if you're the head coach, you've got some say.
I think with the recent coaches, specifically the 2 head coaches, you had a couple of guys who showed up and said, this is what we do.
By the way, you can't put Matt Rule in there because he never coached Bryce Young. We're just talking about Bryce Young.
I'm not putting in there with Bryce
I thought
Young.
we were talking about Bryce Young.
It is an overall conversation at which Bryce Young is the center. I am saying over the last couple of head coaching jobs in Charlotte, you have had guys that have come in and that have said, this is what we do, and you will fit in with this. And Dave Canellis is a guy who just told you in that clip, my goal is to break down Bryce's game down to the footwork, down to the steps he takes on a 3-step drop out of the shotgun to find out where his foot positioning it is. And then once we know what the comfort of Bryce Young's game is, we can tailor the offense to that.
All right, we'll know for sure if if that's being effective in two ways. One, if Baker Mayfield goes downhill a little bit and Bryce Young goes up, then we know it's his coaching primarily that fixed it.
I am getting the impression because
Dude,
it's not.
I want him to fix it.
It's not just Baker Mayfield. It's also Geno Smith, who did not look as good last year.
You're right.
And it's
He
also
did.
Russell Wilson, who did not look as good last year.
Yeah, but you know my opinion on him. So but you're right. And contrary to how you think, I feel I want the Panthers to win every single game.
I don't think that you want them to fail. I just think that your haterisms.
I'm willing to pin some of the problems, a good majority of it, on the quarterback.
The haters.
Play the full thing, man.
The haters. They like to drink their haterade and eat their hater tots.
I just love the hater tots thing. It's still my favorite.
I don't think.
Even though I don't care for the guy who said it, but you know.
I think that this stuff from Canellis is good because I do not think that it is the traditional.
How is this not everything? And we can see it once it's applied if it works. But at this point, it's idealism. The things that you're criticizing me for.
No. What I'm saying here is when you said, oh, you think in stats. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. The only universal constant language is numbers. I wish I was good at them. I'm real dumb at math. I wish I was a better math guy. They just don't click for me. I have to read and read and read and read and read to figure out the simple stuff. But I also understand math is the universal language of the universe. It is a descriptive, not prescriptive. It is a descriptive explanation of everything. And so
I'll take things that robots would say for 500, please.
When Dave Canellis says, look, most quarterbacks do X, Y, Z. And I don't think, and I agree with him, we have really gotten a chance to see what Bryce Young is capable of doing inside of an offense that says, what are Bryce's X, Y, and Z, and how do we cater towards him instead of expecting him to cater towards the offense? Your offense, no matter who the hell you are, should always be catered towards the strengths and away from the weaknesses of your quarterback. And I think Andy Reid does that better than anybody else in the league. He caters the offense to Patrick Mahomes, and that's why the Chiefs are the Chiefs. I think the opposite has been true for about 4 consecutive years now, and I can say that because even though BY's only been there for 1, look at Baker, a guy who was asked to play a certain style, a bad style of offense in Carolina. He gets sent down to Tampa where Dave Canellis is, a guy who just told you, this is how I do an offense. And Baker Mayfield just got $1 billion Baker Mayfield just got one of the biggest.
Yeah,
contracts
don't do
of any
that
free
because
agent
we
quarterback.
both were Baker and still are Baker Mayfield fans.
100%.
Here's the thing, much like what Rashad echoed a couple of weeks ago, you're not burning me again. Not like that. I'm not going to get my hopes up. I'm just gonna sit back and I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna be a little critical because I can't help it because the past is the past. And we know what the history is, and the history has not been good recently. So I want to see all those noted improvements that he's talking about happen. I really do. I want to see that. I want to be able to come on here and say, you know what, Rob Brown, Bryce Young just won the MVP. I was wrong about him. It was coaching all along. Man, I want to be able to say that. I don't think I'm going to get to, but if I do, it won't be with regret for being wrong. It will be with excitement because the Panthers will have turned things around and had a winning season.
I agree. I am going to say this. Yes, we will know, as we do with all things. We will know if a thing works or doesn't work when the thing works or doesn't work. But we're also 190 damn days away from the kickoff. I got to talk about something now. So,
thanks a lot, Tepper.
We just got to go on a little roadie
It's
for it
a
now.
little roadie. It's a good distance.
Got to go on a 2-hour roadie for it. What I can say, what we expect to see. Nothing on the grass yet. Nothing on the grass. Dave Canellis, to me, and this is not as guy who hopes to see the Panthers do well because he makes money. This is me as an impartial analyst of this team, because my job is to be impartial, so I'm doing that. Me as impartial analyst of the team is looking at this and going, Dave Canellis does not talk like any other head coach that I listen to in spots like this. He does not explain things, talk about, lay things out, or at least he doesn't hear like any other head coach in a similar position. If you go here, I'll give you an example. Sean Payton yesterday was at those meetings down in Orlando, Florida, and a media member went to Sean Payton and said, hey, coach, you don't have Russell Wilson anymore. You guys are paying him $85 million in dead camp money that you can't put anywhere else. You've got draft capital, but not a ton. Do you think that it is going to be tough to organize the direction of this team because of the Russell Wilson move? And Sean Payton sat up in his chair, leaned to the mic, and he went, no. And that was it. That was the whole take. Well, I understand that you're the coach and you're not the PR guy. But I do think there is some level, and maybe this is just me, maybe I'm being an egomaniac, maybe I'm being selfish, maybe I'm being a bad fan. There is some level of responsibility to maintain an open line of communication between you and your fans. You know, your customers, the people that spend money on you. There is to me, an obligation to maintain that open line of communication. Again, I'm making it about me because that's what I'm best at. This is why I tell you guys, if you see me out in public, please come say hi. I love talking to you guys. If it wasn't for you guys, I don't have the life I have right now. Please come up and say hi. I think there is an obligation to have an open line of communication about what is happening and why. And not only did Dave Canellis give you an open line on his philosophy of improving Bryce Young starting next year, but he's actually diving into it. He's diving into the process. He's diving into the formula. He's diving into the way he's going to make that work. And as a football fan, it's refreshing to hear. It's also refreshing because it makes sense. It's the right way to handle it.
I don't want to get burned again. I hope you're right. I understand your optimism. I could see why there's the little bit of part of me that wants to go, yeah, this guy gets it. This guy gets it. But I thought that before and got burned. So I'll just wait till August and find out.
All right, so no more Panther talk till August. You heard it here first.
Well, no, you're going to get negativity from me.
There it is.
So I will still comment. I will. All right, it's not negativity, it's realism.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, noted eternal pessimist Lonzo is about to ruin your day with a sport. That's because he's a pessimist with a sports flash.
Yeah, you salvaged that one. NFL owners approved a massive overhaul to kickoff rules yesterday, putting into place a modified version of the XFL kickoffs. Kickers will still kick from the 35, but the kicking team will line up on the opponent's 40, with the receiving team lined up at the 35. Neither team is allowed to move until the ball is touched by a returner inside. It's going to be different. It's really going to be different. The Gamecocks baseball team knocked off Presbyterian in a game full of fireworks, 19-14. South Carolina tallied 15 hits, including 6 home runs in the game, while the Blue Hose got 10 hits and 33 at-bats. Hey, I don't know if you knew this, but we got a new show. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole, Bryson, and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, and a lot of fun. And it's all Wire to Wire right here on The Fan, Upstate. Macedonia. The slowdown is at Macedonia. I don't even know where Macedonia is.
Every day, Dr. Aaron Wolkoff,
a QC Kinetics medical director meets patients who have exhausted every method to get relief. They've been told surgery is their only option.
They want to stay away from that path, and they come to us almost as the last hope. So we're using our own body's properties to help manage pain, to help slow arthritis down, keep the patients active with no downtime, and getting back to what they enjoy doing. I mean, I love what I do.
QC Kinetics regenerative treatments from our board-certified providers help heal and restore aching joints. No surgery, harmful drugs, or downtime.
Couldn't lean into it the way I wanted to, James, because Rob does that too, and I don't want to do that. And since he already does that, and also, if I leaned into it, then I would have lost my voice for the rest of the thing, which might have been a good thing. I don't know. For the moles, we're talking about the XFL. Spin it.
I can watch anytime I want, anywhere I want. Plus, Philo lets me have up to 3 streams at once, so everyone can watch what they want at the same time. Throw in the unlimited DVR that saves all my favorites for up to a year, and this really is the best deal in TV. I just wish I hadn't waited so long. Sound too good to be true? Well, try it out for yourself, and you'll see why people who love TV love Philo. Go to philo.tv, that's PHILO.tv, and start your 7-day free trial now.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm.
Hey, come around here real quick. I'm curious. What song do you think they're listening to?
And did so both on time and on budget.
I haven't listened, so I don't know. I don't know. What song would Rick?
Also, Cruising by Smokey Robinson.
One. Well, it's not that surprising. He's probably around during the heyday of that song. And that song just makes me think of Fallout. So. Although it is talking about all the women he's been with in that song, so I guess it does make sense. Yeah. Hey, look at that. It's 9 o'clock already.
Already? Feel like we've been here a year.
Yeah, it's because you had a stumbling start, but you got into it and you're good now. All right. So we're fine. Not saying it's coast time, but you know. Look, there's your boy on TV.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing? Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Hang on, Corey.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you
Dude,
doing?
hang on. I'm good. Thanks for asking. How are you, Corey LaJoy? Woo! And Rick. Woo! Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, the final hour of the Rob Brown Radio program starts right now. Great to be with you. I am Rob Brown. The great Lonzo is the guy pushing the buttons over there to have Ric Flair keep making noise.
Woo! Nobody's perfect, but I am very, very close.
Facts.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
The Ring How. Next, okay.
Right now, call your shot. You get to have one wrestler, anybody you want that's not dead, who you want on today.
What on the show?
On the show. Anybody you want.
We've already interviewed a bunch of people, so I would go with Sting. But that's because it's my favorite. He's my favorite wrestler of all time. Number
Retiree Sting.
number two would probably be John Moxley, because still one of my favorite wrestlers right now. Hopefully John Moxley without the cursing and the blood.
Hopefully with it.
I wouldn't mind interviewing Cody. I think we could have some fun with Cody. R-Truth was excellent. I mean, we've never had. I was talking
What's up, man?
I was talking about this with someone the other day and saying I don't recall ever having a bad wrestling interview. We've had interviews with other guests that may not be so stellar, but the wrestling people always seem so genuine and like they're having a good time. And I never come away going, don't want to have that guy on again. At least I don't have that experience.
I don't think you and I have not had a bad interview.
Yeah.
I've had bad interviews in the past.
I mean, Lacey Evans went straight up heel on us for the entire thing, and it was amazing. She's the only one to do that so far, but everybody else we've had great conversations with. We've been able to break some news, wrestling wise, a couple times and make it on some of the other websites around the world. But who would you like to interview wrestling wise right now?
I mean, it's a personal tie. Roman.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to have Roman on.
I don't know. His arrogance would.
You know who I take it back.
He would be mad at me before it was over.
Take it back. Jay.
Yeah.
I think I'd have a ball with Jay.
Yeah. Jimmy wouldn't be bad either, because Jimmy would just be laughing the whole time.
Jimmy's just bad guy Jay right now.
Yeah.
Like if you flip the roles around, the answer would be Jimmy. All right, we got a bunch of stuff we need to get into here on the Rob Brown radio program and the Fan Upstate. I did want to get to this. Steve Kerr is the head coach of the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors right now currently sitting 3 games above 500. They are actively in the 10 spot, which is the final play-in spot for the NBA playoffs. The Warriors getting into the top 6 is probably not going to happen unless something very dramatic happens. Which is why a lot of folks right now took what Steve Kerr had to say about officiating after a Dubs game the other day. And we're like, yo, maybe hold up just a little bit, Steve. Like maybe just hear me out. Maybe your team's just not good. They did beat the Heat 113-92 last night. Clay had 28 in that game, so maybe he's not as washed as everybody was making him out to be. Anyway, Steve Kerr took to the podium. He was asked about officiating across the NBA. And he said this.
So I think the league is trying to find the happy medium. And to me, I think it's there is a happy medium to be found. The players have never been more skilled shooting the ball, dribbling the ball. Incredible amount of talent in the league. We want that talent to shine. We want to see, our fans want to see players make great plays. So we should have rules that dictate freedom of movement, freedom of flow. But our fans also like competition, and we should have rules that don't allow, frankly. So that's the happy medium. Just don't call the because frankly, we have called the for like 10 years, and I've talked about it, enough this year, but you asked, so I got my pulpit back. So, it's anyone who watches the game knows, if you see a guy come off a high screen and jump backwards into the defender and we give a guy for 3 free throws, that's on us. That's stupid. You wouldn't call that in a pickup game. It'd be embarrassing to call that in a pickup game. If a guy on defense puts up his arm bar and the offensive guy grabs it and hooks it and flails his arms, just don't call it. It's stupid. Again, you wouldn't call it in a pickup game. So I think the happy medium is get rid of the but call the stuff that's a foul.
Dude, I know it sounds simplistic, but he's so right. He's so right.
Yeah, but has he been fined yet?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Because
Not yet.
because he was critical of officiating overall and was not specific to a certain crew or a certain call. I mean,
Yeah, I think he didn't directly disparage a game, an official, a call. I think he was just kind of speaking in generalities when he said cut the bull, which I respect and agree
how
with.
about call every foul that's a foul, and arm bars either way. Last I checked, should be a foul. I'm guessing.
So for the record, he didn't mean put him in like
I know what you're talking about. No, I know that's. I mean, because
like a Becky Lynch disarm her.
Yeah, 'cause
which is a great name for a move. By the way.
it is. It's really good. I get the arm bar thing, what he's talking about. But if you got your hands on the other guy, how's that not a foul?
So what he's talking about is when a defensive position, offensive player drives, and the defender will put that arm up like that. Usually it's a post move, right? You put it, you get that arm in the lower back, and that's how you get leverage to shove back. And what he's saying is a lot of offensive players, what they have started to do.
I'm disappointed. I wanted to see some Van down by the river again. I thought you were going to do it.
What they do, what a lot of offensive players have been doing lately is when that defender, if they're face up, when an offensive player drives, if that defender puts his arm up to kind of create that bar and that barrier so that they don't get into the body. What some offensive players have done is they'll throw the off-ball hand up inside of that arm, and then they'll fall away from the arm. And what they've done is they have hooked the defender, and they drag the defender into them, and it ends up getting a foul called. To me,
it's called gamemanship.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Steve Kerr is saying is if you keep the rules as written, but you get rid of, if you stop calling the gamesmanship, then you're going to be in a better place.
It's like holding in football. As far as that goes, everything that you just talked about is still a foul if they call it as it's written. So if he wants it called as written, you can't put your hands on another player, period.
If you are a defensive player, I think this is a bit of a misconception. If you were a defensive player who is holding a position and the offensive player comes into your space on the floor, you absolutely can.
By the way, so you can grab them and hold them?
Can't grab and hold.
That's what I'm talking about. And that's what an arm bar is. There's holding involved. Yeah,
I understand. You are correct. In the definition of an arm bar as a wrestling hold.
No. I am talking about what you're talking about. When they're in there and they get their arms tied up, and it happens all the time. It's been happening for a long time.
So,
that still is contact. That is not basketball.
Here is what is being said. If a defender is holding his position by putting his arm this way up across in front of him. I know most of you aren't on the stream. If you're not on the stream, Facebook.com/TheFanUpstate, Twitter.com/TheFanUpstate, the Rob Brown Show on YouTube and Twitch.
Get over here. What are you doing?
If you're not watching the stream, you should, because sometimes I go through my classically Shakespearean trained thespianism.
Visual aids that you would never forget.
Correct. So when a defender puts that arm up, there is no holding or grabbing. It is establishing a boundary on the defender's space on the floor that the offensive player cannot come into. They are creating not an arm bar as a hold, but literally a bar with their arm.
It's a shield. You're putting up a shield is what you're doing. Yeah.
And so what players have been doing, what offensive players are doing is, again, taking that off-ball hand, wrapping it up inside of that arm, up inside of that bar the defender has created, and then they are pulling on the defensive player to pull them out of their positioning on the floor and into the offensive player's position. And that foul is being called against the defender. And what Steve Kerr is saying is, the NBA would have a lot less controversy about it. It would have a lot less controversy about it if they started to legislate the gamesmanship out of the game. If instead of, in a spot like that, calling a foul against a defensive player, as I have absolutely seen in games in the last week, if instead of calling a foul on the defensive player there, who was pulled out of his position, and you started assessing penalties onto the offensive player for removing the defensive player from their position, as opposed to having their space on the floor impeded on by the defensive player, a lot of this would go away. I understand Steve Kerr is fighting for his life right now. He's not going anywhere, just so we're clear. It's not like the Dubs are going to fire the guy. But I understand he's fighting for, I shouldn't say life. I should say he's fighting for a season right now. But I think he's got a point. There were some folks that got mad the other day at, shockingly, I know, LeBron James. LeBron drove the lane. He went from high left, cut across the free throw line, and when he crossed past the defender, a defender brought a hand down and caught LeBron on the top of the head. And LeBron acted like he had been shot when this happened. I mean, just like, like a wrestler does after he takes a garbage can lid to the head. He was doing that, and everybody got real upset about it. They're like, "Oh God, look at the drama king out here. Look at it. He is the king. He's the king of drama."
But didn't he get fouled? If he got hit on the head by
But the point that I think I'm driving at here
is maybe he has to act it out to a degree to get the refs to throw the. Okay.
I don't think if LeBron doesn't react like that, I don't think that foul gets called, because the defender in that spot was parallel to the ball. They were not behind the ball. They were parallel to the ball. They did not go into LeBron's space with anything other than the hand and the arm coming down. They did not contact him anywhere around the basketball. So if you're watching, as most refs do, if you're watching the arms and the chest, which is where most fouls take place, you may not have seen that pop on the top of the head. So LeBron had to do this. This is why when some of y'all bash soccer guys for being floppers, I point out the rules as written, good, bad, ugly, indifferent. The rules as written kind of require you to go down, because a lot of officials in soccer aren't going to call a foul if you don't go to the ground. Not some will, but a lot won't call a foul unless you go to the ground. And so you're not so much taking a dive as you were indicating to the official, I think I got fouled. But one of the things that has happened lately in soccer that I am very much a fan of is that officials are now looking at this more closely, and they are starting to call more fouls without players going down. But there's a thing in soccer called continuation. So if you're dribbling with the soccer ball, you take a foul, but you don't go down and you keep going with the ball, the ref will indicate a foul, but he will let play continue, because if you go through a foul and you create a goal scoring opportunity, they don't want to take that away from you. But if you dribble through the foul and you take it 2-3 more touches and then the ball gets stolen from you, then he'll blow the whistle and say, okay, there was a foul back here. I was going to let him have a crack at the goal, but since he lost the ball, we're gonna call it. The other thing is they have started going to VAR and calling flops. In fact, it happened in the CONCACAF Nations League game the other day. There was a player from Mexico, as that team was down 1-0 after Tyler Adams' rocket of a goal that went in. A player from Mexico got the ball, dribbled into the top of the 18-yard box, got just inside, was setting up a shot, and then went to the ground. And the ref called a foul, called a penalty, was going to give Mexico a penalty spot. Greg Berhalter and the Americans objected to it. They checked the VAR, and on VAR replay, that guy didn't get touched. Didn't get touched. There was a player booth that came in, missed the ball, but it did not touch the Mexican player. And so not only did the official pull the penalty off the board, but on top of that, he gave a yellow card to the guy that took the dive. And I just think that so many of these leagues in which this is a problem, Steve Kerr is right. If you just find a way to get rid of the bull, you will be in a better spot for it. Just cut out the bull bleep. And if you do that, the game gets better. And I absolutely believe that the NBA could do this as easily as anybody else. I think if the NBA just stopped with the hot garbage, if they start, there was a call last night where in the Bucks game against the Mavs, where Dame Lillard kicked the rock over to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis was out past the three-point line on the left-hand side, drove into the basket, and took like 4 steps on the way to the bucket. Did get a call. It was obviously a traveling call, obviously a violation, but it didn't get the call. And I immediately heard Steve Kerr's words in my head. I'm like, do you know how much more credibility this league has if that all you got to do is call that a traveling, which it most certainly, definitely, without question was. Clearly, if you just cut out the bull crap and you called the game the way the game is meant to be called, this league would be so much better for it. And that's not to say you call nothing, right? Kerr said you wouldn't call some of these fouls on pickup games. Yeah, I know. Of course you wouldn't.
Yeah, but pickup games, you like call your own fouls. So, I mean.
Yeah, in the pickup games I played in, most of us got too much pride to call ticky-tack fouls. Like, I'm not saying you have to officiate it the way you would officiate a game between Rob and the boys down at the Y in a pickup match. What I'm saying is, call it the way the rules are called. If a guy travels, call a travel. If a guy hooks the defender's arm and pulls him into him, that's an offensive foul. If a guy sets a screen and as he's about to throw the screen, takes a step to the left, call it. If a guy sets up in an illegal defense, call it. It's a turnover. The biggest issue the NBA has right now is not a lack of superstars. They've got plenty. It's not a lack of good teams. They've got plenty. It's not a lack of drama in the playoffs. They've got plenty. Hell, there's enough drama just for the play-in game spots to entertain the masses. The problem that the NBA has right now is that when I go talk to noted big basketball guy, my Uncle Mike, the guy who got me into my love for hoops, if I go talk to my Uncle Mike, an old school basketball guy, a Larry Bird era basketball guy, what's his biggest complaint about the league? It's soft. They don't call stuff anymore. The stuff they do call is ticky-tack. The stuff they don't call is egregious. It's a soft league. The league would gain that notoriety back. The league would, I'll give you one more, and I'll tell you how I know it's a problem, and then we'll take a break. I saw a video on, I think, Instagram a couple of days ago. There was a high school basketball championship game. I want to say it was in Texas, if I recall correctly. It's like 7 seconds left on the clock in the game. Ball gets kicked out to the guard. Guard's outside the three-point line. Guard takes 3 steps towards the defender, picks up the ball, takes 2 steps, then takes a 3rd step backwards for a step-back 3 that he hits, and it goes and it makes. And the buzzer sounds, and that team loses its mind. Except for then you hear a whistle blow, and the near side referee called a travel. Because it was a travel.
Say, well, the way you described it sounded like a travel to me.
Because it was a travel. Yeah. And I'm reading through the comments. And do you know what I see? I see people putting this referee on blast. Oh, you're only a ref because you can't play. Oh, put your glasses on. And the number one complaint about this call was that it took a very cool moment off the board. This guy just sank a game-winning 3. Yeah, well, he traveled to do it. He traveled to do it. And there was a cacophony of commenters cackling on the comments. I used comments already. It doesn't work. There was a bunch of people in the comments that were like, you can't call travel there. You can't call it. And I ended up spending a good portion of my day. I am not proud of it. I spent a good portion of my day going comment to comment going, why not? Why can't you call that there? And the response that I got was, well, you just wiped a dramatic game-winning 3 off the board. All right, cool. Shouldn't have traveled then. That's the either the game has rules or the game doesn't have rules. If that's what you're looking for, can I interest you in the And One mixtape tour, where they play by what we in the nerd world call the rule of cool? If we're playing a Dungeons and Dragons game, I'll let you do something that's against the rules if it's really cool and it's a great moment, but not in basketball. That's not how this game works. Not in basketball. So Steve Kerr is correct. Do me a favor, cut out the bull. That's a really short one. Cut out the bull, and the game will be better. It'll get some of that integrity back that a lot of people think is lost. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Got a few more stories I want to get to, including a massive, massive announcement in the world of fast food that you absolutely want to know about. The Rob Brown Show carries on. It is the Fan Upstate.
Never mind. I know what it is.
McDonald's?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's been happening for like 2 years. One of the companies could back out.
I'm sure one will. But
Meteorologist Jennifer Blucheats on the Fan Upstate. Currently, it's 52.
And now, the morning sports spin, powered by Ingles. Low prices, love the savings.
Hold the Upstate and you'll learn there's not a lot of love lost between Clemson fans and the University of North Carolina. But last year, we learned that 7 ACC schools, dubbed the Magnificent Seven, were secretly holding conversations plotting their exit from the ACC. But since then, only Florida State and Clemson have actually taken the fight out of the dark, smoky room and into the courts, which feels like a betrayal from UNC, Miami, Virginia Tech, and NC State, essentially leaving Clemson and Florida State to do the legwork. They all came together and said, we want this, but they're leaving Clemson and Florida State to put themselves on the line. Are they having cold feet? I have insider information that suggests the other 5 plan to sit back to wait and see, which is cowardly, if you ask me.
Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson.
This afternoon, 3 to 7 on the Fan. Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, and on the Odyssey app.
Ingles Markets is a proud sponsor of the Wire to Wire Sports Spin. From the playing field to the stands to your own living room, Ingles Markets has everything you need to fuel your athlete or satisfy all the hungry fans in your life. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
That's Mike saying good morning. It's the best you can do right now. Yeah, not a cloud in the sky. What Mike could use is a fresh start. And Irish Spring Body Wash. The fresh scent of Irish Spring and those sensational Irish Spring suds are just the reset Mike needs. Now he's ready to go to work. It's Sunday. Irish Spring. When the spring hits you, you're ready. Pick up Irish Spring at Walmart today.
Planning for spring at Lowe's means big savings on outdoor power equipment, and Lowe's knows nothing feels better than free. Buy one select Ego string trimmer, leaf blower, or mower kit. Get one select 56-volt battery free. That's up to a $299 value. Power through spring with Ego, the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power. Because Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 4/3 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Hey, this is Diesel from 93.3 The Planet and the Fan Upstate. True story. I had neighbors stop and ask me if I was okay because I was sitting in the driveway for hours staring at my new tire. I told them, yeah, I got them from R&R Tire. My Jeep already looked good. Now it's a head turner on new BFG KM3s. Get your ride looking right with my friends at R&R Tires. Locations in Greenville, Spartanburg, and Anderson. Online at rnrtires.com.
Take control of your listening experience with Rewind on the Odyssey app. Missed a jaw-dropping moment? No worries. With Rewind, you can relive big moments from Rob Brown, Jim Rome, and more. Don't miss a beat. Just hit Rewind with the Odyssey app on the Fan Upstate. Talk to Robin Lonzo. Call 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-FAN-PHONE.
You know, I've been busting my butt to drop some LBs. It's gone all right. And then I wake up to a post from the New York Post that says starting in 2026, starting on 2026, McDonald's will be selling Krispy Kreme donuts at all U.S. locations. Now, granted, that's a ways in the future. All right, I'll be married. I won't be in the hopefully weight losing department anymore. We'll see. Hopefully, I'll be in a maintain. I'm going to tell you real quick. The number one thing that keeps me from eating Krispy Kreme donuts is that there's not one between me and the house. There's not one between the house and the office or the office and the house. And it's
Yeah,
it's
I
like a
think
20-minute drive for me to get to one.
I think the closest one's on Pleasantburg. There's one.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct. I passed 2 McDonald's on the way home, and now you're telling me you're going to stick Krispy Kreme donuts in there?
I hope they do the donut burger thing because tried that before. It's pretty good. A little too much glaze, but not bad. I would be interested to see what the McDonald's Krispy Kreme take on it would be.
Here's what I do know. I need somebody to tell me right now which company manufactures and sells Ozempic because I'm buying all their stock immediately. Okay?
Now you've got that jingle stuck in my head. Thank you.
They have a jingle?
Yes.
I haven't heard it.
It's off of a song. Ozempic.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, it is. If you want to be fat, or if you are fat, you don't want to be that, come try Ozempic.
And then, be a front person for a weight loss company and get busted for it. Yeah, eventually. You could do that.
Somebody just tweeted, America is the greatest country in the world.
I'd be interested from a sales standpoint. Would this make the sales from Krispy Kreme donut shops go down because now it's available everywhere else? So like that location on Pleasantburg, will it hurt their bottom line?
Are there enough of them though? You know what I mean? Like how many people?
That's like the only one that I know of around
here. No, I
here.
agree that it is. I'm saying I can't imagine. I'm assuming they're going to get less per dozen sold from the Mackie D's than they do from their stores. But I can also tell you they're going to sell more to me if I can get them from the McDonald's because Pleasantburg's on the other side of town for me. And there's very rarely a day. I'm not saying never. I'm saying very rarely a day where I go, yeah, I'm going to pop in the car and head to the other side of town. And by the way, I'm going to pass 3 local donut shops to get to the other side of town to get Krispy Kreme, which by the way, of the chain donuts, Krispy Kreme is it. That's it. Respect to Dunkin'. I respect the hustle. I respect the grind. But there's a reason y'all dropped donuts from the name. It's because Krispy Kreme whoops that behind, Jack. Hands down, end of story.
I wonder if sales-wise, if that's true, because I think that might be a regional thing also. Will there be a hot and ready sign in McDonald's?
It's a fool's errand if they don't.
Yeah, see, I mean, that's one of the things that gets you in the donut shop is when it's hot and ready. I mean, they just came out the oven. I want some of that.
I'll put it this way. If I'm driving down the interstate and it's like exit, next left, Dunkin' Donuts or Krispy Kreme or whatever, I'm not stopping. But if I'm driving down the road and I see that hot now sign on, I'm like a moth to flame. I cannot stop. I'm 30 pounds on the best diet ever, but if that hot now sign's on and I happen to be driving by one, I'm stopping 99 out of 98 times. And now you're telling me you're going to throw it up in the MacD's that I passed 3 of on the way home? I'm not going to be able to stop myself. I'm just not.
It's really difficult when you're going to South Carolina Comic-Con in 2 weeks because you've got to go right by that Krispy Kreme donut shop to get to South Carolina Comic-Con, which is, on the 6th and 7th.
I do. I also have a timer on my phone that every morning goes, and I'm not exaggerating, this is what it says. You get married in 88 days, fat ass. That's what my phone says to me. I mean, granted, I say it to me through the medium of the phone, but every day my phone calls me a fatty.
Yeah, but why don't you get someone else to say that? I mean, because that would bother you more, I would think, than your own self saying
well,
it.
Because there's only one other person in my life who's going to look me in the eyeballs and call me a fat ass.
I'm guessing that Chris Evans would love to voice that for you.
You know what? That's fair.
And he will do that every day with a little bit of different inflection and panache on each day.
That's fair.
And he will smile doing he'll give you a couple takes if you want.
Yes, he would. Not a couple takes. He give me a couple takes every day. You want a new one? You want a new one, fatty? You want a new one? Krispy Kreme boy? You want a new one?
He cares that much, so I'm sure he would do that.
Texture said, when that hot now sign is on, it's on. Yeah, it's a kryptonite, man.
By the way, I forgot about the one in Spartanburg. I wasn't thinking about that. Where they have the old one across the street, and then you got the place where the Carolina Panthers players used to visit all the time,
sure.
But they won't this year. Thank you, Tepper.
I'm just gonna say, Oh, I was just informed there's a Krispy Kreme on Woodruff, too. I wish you wouldn't have informed me of that.
Which direction? I think it might.
I don't know. No.
Is it heading
neither
towards?
one of us.
Heading toward
Lonzo?
Yeah, I'm not going to.
Neither one of us needs that information.
It's not going to bother me that much because for some reason donuts don't do it for me anymore. So
No, neither one of us needs that information. Like, let me put you where the hot now sign is for me. If I ever told the lady talk dirty to me and she went, the hot now sign is on, it would work. That's all I'm saying. That's how much I love Krispy Kreme donuts. This is a problem. This is a massive problem to me. All right, real quick before we get up out of here for this segment of the show, we did get some new news out of the National Football League. Remember last year when they did a playoff game on the Peacock? And remember how I said, you have a decision to make, America. You have a decision to make you can do one of two things. You can watch this game, and you can effectively, as a country, all of you together had a collective decision to make as the hive mind that you are. You can watch this game, and you can guarantee that the NFL will be placing more games on streaming services in the near future. Or you can, as a country, decide to skip an NFL playoff game, catch up with the highlights later, make sure that this doesn't turn numbers, and make sure that the NFL does not move one step closer to streaming their games. Well, we know what happened. We know what happened. What happened was that the nation in its entirety collectively shut up and watched that game. I know I did. And clearly it worked because yesterday it was announced that now this year 2 games will be on streaming only services. Granted, it is only 2 out of 1,000, but 2 games are going to be on the stream. One of them is going to be in week 1 when the Philadelphia Eagles travel down to Brasilia, Sao Paulo, Brasilia, to take on an opponent to be named later. There are rumors about who this team might be, but we have not confirmed it yet. Philly will have a week 1 game. The Green Bay Packers president, Mark Murphy, said following the NFL's annual meetings that the league is deciding between the Packers and the Browns to send down to Sao Paulo, Brasilia to take on the Eagles. Amazon, which already owns the exclusive streaming rights to Thursday Night Football, will also get a wild card game this year. The Brazil game will be on Peacock. The wild card playoff game will be on Amazon. And I will say once again, America, all of you, collectively, as a whole, all of you, once again, have the same decision to make. The decision is you may tune in for these games. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you what's going to happen based on what you do. You have a decision to make. You may tune into these games. You may turn numbers for the NFL. You may justify the $120 million paycheck that is being sent over for a week 1 game, 1 game in week 1 on Peacock. You may justify I don't know how much more money is being spent by Amazon to get a playoff game this year. You may justify that amount of money to the NFL by showing up, by turning numbers for this organization, and by giving them the motivation to move forward with their streaming services carrying games. Or you may ignore these games. You may not tune into these games. And you may create a world in which Amazon looks at the numbers, in which Peacock, NBC, looks at the numbers, and they say, the numbers aren't there. They aren't what we thought they were going to be. They're not justifiable. And you may bail out on these games and create a world in which the NFL does not move more games over to the streaming networks. It's really up to you. And I know that's a very simplistic way of looking at it. But as I've said how many times, when it comes to top level sports, I got into this discussion with a friend of mine on, what night was the soccer game? Sunday night? I got into a discussion with a buddy of mine Sunday night during the soccer game, and they said, wait a minute, Rob, why is this game on Paramount Plus? If you wanted to watch the English broadcast of Team USA taking on Team Mexico, of the Yanks versus El Tri, and you wanted to watch it in English, you had to get a Paramount Plus subscription or steal the credentials of somebody else who already did. That was your option. If not, you could go find it on the internet in Spanish. And he said, Rob, why in the world is this on Paramount Plus? I said, the answer is very simple. It is because CONCACAF owns the rights to the CONCACAF Nation Leads Cup. They own the rights to it. And Paramount Plus paid them mucho dinero to own the exclusive North American English-speaking rights to this match. So it's going to be on Paramount Plus to justify that paycheck. It's the same thing with these NFL games. They are putting on the stream because they believe that you, all of you, collectively, the hive mind, America, will give them money for it. And we've already got at least a little bit of evidence that that is accurate, that that is correct, that that is what is going to ultimately end up happening. And because of that, I very much think we are going to end up, and I don't think it's in the near future, I think it's in the distant future, but I think in the, I'll say not so distant future, in the not so distant future, I think there is a very good chance that one day down the line, the National Football League is a streaming platform in and of itself. Now, I don't know if that means that one day one of the streaming services ultimately owns the rights to the NFL. One of the things that makes the NFL so valuable is that they have never committed to one broadcast partner. You've always got the NFL on CBS. You've always got the NFL on Fox. You've always got the NFL on ESPN/ABC. But you got to wonder if there's not a day sometime in the future where NBC goes to the league and says, we will give you $1.5 billion annually to own the exclusive rights to the National Football League. And so if you are an NFL fan who wants to, watch the NFL, you have to buy not just a Peacock or Amazon subscription, but you've got to buy the upgraded NFL package. You've got to spend what's an Amazon membership right now? You got to spend whatever it is a month to have Amazon Prime. And then if you want the NFL, you've got to spend an extra $60 a month, $70 a month, $100 a month during the peak season. You got to spend an extra amount a month. Lonzo, let me ask you the question. If the NFL was to, in some time in the future, go 100% subscription-based streaming, how much would you pay a month to be able to watch every Chiefs game?
First of all, I don't believe that that's ever going to happen. But if it did, I guess I would pay whatever they charge.
Numbers irrelevant? Can't not watch?
I mean, within if they say $1,000 a month, I'm not doing that.
Sure.
No. If it's somewhere $100 or less, probably.
That's fair. I got to tell you, I think I would too.
But you know what I would also do? I'd
Walk
have to
out of the office and be like, hey, boss, it's my job. You got to pay for my
Well,
subscription.
I wish that if that worked, we would have already been able to do that. No, I would have to scrap some other stuff, though. I would have to get rid of some other services.
Yeah. And I think, but see, isn't that what drives the bidding war up, right? Because you got to know if you're ESPN, Disney Plus, if you're NBC with Peacock, if you're Amazon with Amazon Prime, if you're Fox with Fox Sports Go, you got to know that there are the Lonzos of the world out there that if you charge $100 a month for me to watch NFL football, a price I would pay for sure, I would pay it. Even if I started it in September and ended it at the Super Bowl, so I ended it in February. Even if I was only doing those few months a year, I'd pay $100 a month. But yes, much like the great one, I would have to kill off some other subscription services to do it, which makes it that much more valuable because it's not just about how much money is that streaming company going to get from Rob Brown. It's also the fact that they know there's going to be a bunch of subscribers of other packages, of other streaming outlets that are going to cancel their whatever subscription to move over to me. And if that's what they do, now I can charge even more. So I don't know. Lonzo says he doesn't think the NFL will ever go stream exclusive. I'm going to tell you right now, I'd like to believe that, great one. But I think if there's ever a day where a streaming subscription service comes to them and says, we're going to give you the entire totality of your current broadcasting price, right? You're getting $1 billion from Fox and $1 billion from ABC.
Then you lose the whole global agenda because not everywhere around the world is going to, in some cases, have access to whatever that streaming service is. And as they ever are expanding, which we've talked about a bunch, you got to weigh that against that because you will lose a lot of that because they won't have access to it.
I don't know is the answer. I think if you're the NFL, the other option that you would have then is you would have to create a website that effectively is your streaming platform online. I don't know how that works because I'm dumb. So I don't know how it'll work out. I do know that at the end of the day, what drives every decision in sports, my friends, if you ever wonder why a decision got made, all you got to do is look at the mighty, mighty dollar sign and the number that comes next to it. And if somebody's willing to give the NFL a billion and it's more than they currently make, they're my colleagues, my coworkers, my comrades, my brothers and sisters in arms. Tomorrow is opening day. It's baseball day in America, and it's going to be a good day to have a good day. Rob Alonso back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Gonna be a good day to have a good day. You should write a song about that.
Gotta be a good day.
Actually, it should be today's a good day to have a really good day, and it should be sung by Big Bird.
Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my
Because
neighbor?
nothing says happiness like a song sung by Big Bird.
South Carolina checks in at number 18 this week, while 18-6 Coastal Carolina is 19. The Atlanta Braves open the regular season tomorrow afternoon in Philadelphia. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. Download the Odyssey app, search the Fan Upstate, and listen anywhere on your phone.
And I'm back. And then Rob went out. Now Rob is back. They're going to get it fixed eventually. Hopefully it was digitized like the thing when you take the red pill or whichever pill you took in the Matrix. And I'm back. Woo. Now I know what it feels like to drop your pin on the keyboard.
I don't know what that's like. You don't know how it feels. Shout out to nephew Lou watching the show back down in the Pensacola. He's got spring break this week. I am very jealous. When's our spring break, Alonzo?
My granddaughter is on spring break, so I don't know. It varies from county to county.
No. I mean, when's our spring break?
I
When
already-
do we get our spring break?
I already took mine. I don't know what this hour thing is.
When do we
I took mine last week.
get a week off of work?
Yeah, that was mine last week, my spring break. You don't get one because you're talent.
Oh, is that how it works?
Yes.
Learn something new today. Learn something new every day. That's the goal.
You're the only talent on this station.
We're going to get tomorrow on the show into Major League Baseball very, very heavy.
Wait. How are we going to do that on a Thursday? Isn't Rashad going to be on?
Rashad will be here too. I didn't say we're going to get
Wow.
into baseball exclusively.
Isn't Fight Club going to be on?
Fight Club is going to be
So
tomorrow.
you got guaranteed 2 segments tomorrow with
Of
no
not baseball.
Of no baseball.
For sure.
So you got that to look forward.
Throw you one right now to be intrigued in. I am going to give you one winner right now that is it's an underdog winner, all right? It's a long shot winner. It's a team I'm picking to have a chance as an underdog, but I like what they've put together. They lost one big free agent in Jameer Candelario, who I loved. If you know who Jameer Candelario is, you already know who I'm picking.
Come on.
If not,
I
that
mean,
was really good, Lonzo.
you were setting me up for that the entire time. You could go ahead and say it if you want. I mean, it's your show, but I
No,
just
you didn't know. We moved on.
We did.
Come back tomorrow to find out who it is that I am picking to win the NL Central. It's a surprise team.
Big tease. Big tease.
That
All
is
right.
a 26-hour cliffhanger.
Look out. Time to find out what is Xing. Rob will tell us why. All right. The first thing that's Xing is Mega Millions.
So I guess there's a drawing for that. Did somebody win?
Oh, no.
it?
No, somebody won. Somebody won $1.13 billion. Guess where they lived?
If you say here, I'm going to be furious.
Hey, Jersey.
Joycey.
So there's a bunch of things up
So I'm just
of
saying.
Sopranos and stuff like
100%.
that.
So I'm saying when somebody's trash receptacle business shuts down and goes dark suddenly for no reason, there's a reason.
So a lot of people think that, there might be some mafia ties or something to it. And
This is true. I've been there. There are people who live in New Jersey who are not in the mafia.
I will tell you this. I've also been to New Jersey because my granddaughter was born in New Jersey. There were 2 guys in the basement of the hospital who worked at the restaurant down there. And their responses are like, yeah. Hey, man. Hey, yeah. And Cameron and I just sit down there and just had our hands over our mouths trying to cover our smiles. Because, when you hear of stereotypes and then you find out that it's actually a real thing. And a lot of the people working at the grocery store kind of sounded that way. And not everybody, but just about. So there's someone in Jersey, who won $1.3 billion. $1.3 billion.
Must be nice.
It probably is.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you now. You would never see me again.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
get on Facebook, my account's deleted. There would be no The Rob Brown Show on Twitter. I'd be off the grid for the rest of my life. You could come find me. No, you can't. No, you can't. I'm not even gonna tell you.
I'm flaunting it for a little bit, then I'm disappearing because that's the fun part.
Not a word, because you and I both know people are gonna come out of the door. Hey, Lonzo, I'm your long lost brother from another mother. I'm your brother. You're my brother.
There might be some siblings out there that I don't know about. So
I ain't trying to put up with that.
Yeah. All right. The next thing that's Xing is Leonard Fournette.
Leonard Fournette. I have no idea what Leonard.
All right, Leonard Fournette is starting to trend now because some videos have surfaced of him hanging out with Diddy, and and so people are questioning if maybe possibly the alleged things that were going on that he was a part of it.
Yeah, this. I mean, obviously,
It's some pretty dark stuff that's being alleged.
Obviously, it's an awful situation. Obviously, Diddy sprinting to a jet and going to the Bahamas or wherever he is not a great look for this whole situation. But listen, Diddy was a mega mogul movie action TV star. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of people who are seen in pictures with Diddy. You should not be sniping those people out right now.
Also, rapper from what I understand.
From what I understand.
Yeah, I don't think you mentioned that part.
So right now, do you remember the Godzilla movie with who was it? Matthew Broderick back in the day?
Yeah,
like the real
the one in New York,
Yeah.
the Americanized version that was not good. Had Hank Azaria,
it sure did.
Who's one of a lot of the voices from The
As
Simpsons.
like a badass in that movie.
He was the cameraman.
Yeah. As like a badass in that movie. And then they had that one French guy that's the military dude in every movie of the 1990s. He was in it. That movie.
And they let him make America look bad as a French guy.
No, I don't think they did.
Yeah, he was the only one that really knew what was going on, kind of.
He was a G. That movie was so bad it's good. It circled past bad all the way back around to good.
Got to see the garden
Yeah.
destroyed, which was
wild.
kind of
Inside of that soundtrack was a remix of Zeppelin's Kashmir.
See, I thought that was from Matrix.
No.
Are you sure it was from there?
I'm 1000%
All right.
sure. I
All right.
own the album. The
Okay.
album cover was just Godzilla's foot silhouetted by light in a city street.
Can you play that now, especially if you find out that he's guilty of all that stuff? Can you listen to that music anymore? Just like you can't watch the Cosby Show anymore.
I mean, there's the concept of art from artists, but then there's also that artist went way too far. So I don't know. All I know is that song was a banger.
Yes, it was. I don't know why I thought it was from Matrix. I think it might have been something similar. Speaking of Godzilla, the other thing that's acting right now, Godzilla and Kong.
Godzilla and Kong dropping on Thursday night.
Yeah, it comes out tomorrow night.
Lonzo and I may very well ditch work early Friday to go watch it because I love monster movies. I love Godzilla. I cannot wait to see. You know what this is going to be? Just a couple hours of big ass monsters beating up other big ass monsters.
It's an hour and 55-minute runtime. So you're right. It is a couple hours.
Perfect. 2 hours of Godzilla and Kong taking on King Scar. Can't wait. That's it for us. Y'all have a great rest of your day. We'll be back tomorrow for what's tomorrow, Lonzo?
Fight Club.
What else is tomorrow?
Rashad Beard.
What else is tomorrow?
I think some sport is opening up.
See you back here tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate later. Yeah. Oh, man.
Ridge Holland was also trending, but we didn't get to that. He retired yesterday.
Kayfabe retired?
Yeah, that's what I think. People were cheering that he was retiring. It was kind of messed up how they were acting. I have a reputation of hurting other people.
Bro.
No, you actually did hurt other people, but
yeah, right. I'm rewatching. It just popped up on my feed. Becky punching Dom. Dude. Yeah, I just heard that too. She legit rocked him.
Oh, she did.
Legit rocked him. Like legit rocked him. Like backstage heat rocked him.
Yeah, but the thing is, did she intend to punch him that hard? I mean, like when the Big Show got punched by Mayweather.
Yeah.
He knew he was going to get punched. I mean, there was no doubt, and he took the punch because it's a little guy, even though Mayweather has power to punch out another little guy. I seriously don't think, I'm sure it stung, but didn't hurt as bad as, let's say, Karrion Kross punching him in the face.
True. All right, dudes and dudettes, thank you, Skrill. Appreciate it. Steven, thank you very much. I'm not going to grab myself a donut. I am going home to eat air-fried chicken breast tenderloins over lettuce. I'm so sick of chicken and lettuce.
Mostly all I eat is chicken since the hospital. Many different ways you can cook chicken.
Oh, I agree. I season it different ways. Somebody was telling me the other day that you can use something instead of flour to fry in vegetable oil chicken, and it's healthier than fried chicken, but it still gives you fried chicken.
Well, I only use olive oil because vegetable oil is really
Not vegetable oil, avocado oil. That's what
there we go. I was going to say vegetable oil is really high in
Yeah,
calories.
we use avocado oil, which is pretty good. So I'll fry up some chicken in avocado oil. I got to remember what it was. I did read someone the other day say that if you get those southern pork rinds, but you get the
we're still on?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine. I'll leave it on for this. This is
Okay.
important conversation. This is important information for the masses. That if you get the pickle flavored pork rinds and you crush them up into like breadcrumbs, and then you roll your chicken and then fry it, it comes out like Chick-fil-A chicken. And I'm all in.
Yeah, but doesn't it taste like pickles? I mean,
Chick-fil-A chicken is marinated in pickle juice.
No, I
That's
did
what
not.
gives it that Chick-fil-A
I
taste.
did not know that, but I guess that makes sense.
It's pickle juice. All right, dudes and dudettes, thank you guys for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed the show. Wire to Wire with Cole and Diesel coming up at 3. Lonzo and I will be back tomorrow. Happy opening day, kids. Bye-bye.